wife cheated on me with her coworker just weeks after our wedding.
Divorce.
Actually, annulment.
We got married just over a year ago and have been together for over 6 years. I trusted my wife, 27 female, implicitly, and we had a good relationship. We have a house, 2 cars, and a dog. We don't have kids, but I was hoping to start a family together this year. By the way, this comes from user ThrowawayBurnedOut12, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, shortly after our wedding, my wife starts talking to a guy from her work, 27 male. I didn't think anything of it, but they began talking every single day. Our spicy sleep life began to deteriorate as well, but I didn't think it was related. She became more distant, and one day, while we were looking at TikToks on her phone, she immediately hid the notification from when he messaged her. I began to have doubts, so I went through her phone while she was asleep. Brother, like, as soon as she does the hiding the notification from you, unless it's for a surprise birthday party, you know everything you need to know already.
Yeah.
And that's for everyone out there.
Stop sneaking into the phone. Your relationship's already gone.
Her and her little friend had been talking every single day for essentially the whole time we have been married. She completely neglected my messages and made no effort with me, but would banter with this guy endlessly. She had sent pictures of herself in swimwear to him, and some of the conversations ended abruptly and made no sense. I think she had been deleting messages.
You think? She'd been sending pictures of her in swimwear to him. What are the contexts there?
What are we doing?
She's like, hey, was swimming. Wanted you to follow my fitness journey.
Was swimming and looked great. Thought you would want to see me in what is essentially lingerie and that's allowed in public. Anyways, was just thinking of you and not my husband.
Thinking of you.
What? So
do another lap.
I freaked out and accused her of having an affair. She denied that anything had happened and told me our spicy sleep life sucked because of me and demanded we start therapy. Cool.
That's gnarly.
So funny. So funny.
And he's just like, okay.
He's like, well, I guess you're right.
Yeah. She said I was overreacting and that they were friends. She accused me of violating her privacy. We started therapy, and I began to believe her. I felt awful about how I acted, and I even told her it was okay if she wanted to be friends with that guy again, but I would like to get to know him too. So, really quick.
Your therapist sucks.
Really quick, spoiler alert / warning / advisory, like
beep, beep, beep.
The people who are like your abuser or like a fairer or whatever, like people who have actively done like misdeeds against you, don't go to therapy with them because they will weaponize the therapy against you, like is what is happening to this man.
Yikes.
So,
Yoinks.
now that we're clear on that, I started to work on what she wanted me to do during the spicy sleep and how to initiate.
Oh, man.
Then I got an anonymous email from someone claiming to be her coworker. They said they saw my wife kiss that guy and outlined how intimate their interactions at work were. The email had contact information for the affair partner, 27 male, but I couldn't bring myself to confront him. I confronted my wife, and she said all they did was kiss a couple times and that they never had the spicy sleep.
I'm
That's all,
sorry.
baby. That's all. It's just
like,
2
no,
kisses.
no, no,
2 kisses. That's it.
I'm leaving.
Smooch.
I'm leaving
Anything.
today.
It was just very, he's European.
Yes, it was just a little.
You know what? The first time someone did that to me, I was like really thrown off. Not in like a bad way. I just didn't know what was happening.
I was.
Yeah.
Like I was
remember
with
the
my
first time that happened to
parents. I was with my parents like friend when I was traveling, and her nephew was there, and he just like literally went. I was like, oh bye, and like going for a hug, and he went. I was like, sorry. Great heavens!
Are we married now?
Whoa!
Great snakes!
Oh boy!
She said that she lied to me when I confronted her about the texts because she didn't want to lose me, but went on to kiss and talk to him afterwards.
She's like, I can't choose between both of you because he's really good at kissing and I'm technically married to you.
Buddy, are you just learning what the concept of a lie is? I'm sorry, but what are we doing?
He's like, she lied to me?
She's like, oh, she told me one thing and then did another.
This doesn't make sense.
Have y'all ever heard of that?
This doesn't make sense.
Buddy, I'm going to need you to grow a spine for me to start having some empathy for you, okay? This essentially confirmed that she was gaslighting. She keeps denying that they had the spicy sleep, but they spent time together alone outside of work and at work? Writing this out seems ridiculous because I feel stupid believing her, but she insists that she loves me and wants our marriage to work. She insists she loves me and wants our marriage to work? She had an emotional affair with him.
And also a physical affair. She kissed
Clearly
him.
a physical affair, my guy.
She kissed him. Dude, that's physical. Once you touch, you're physically.
How did it end up like
That's
this?
a physical affair.
We gotta
Smooch,
speed this up, dude.
Smooch. Smooch, smooch.
We gotta
Wait,
cut.
someone give me a pen. Smooch, smooch.
Oh,
Physical affair. Smooch.
nice. She had an emotional affair with him and wants me to believe that was the extent of it. She says she chooses me and would have left me for him if she wanted us to separate? I have a sick feeling she had spicy sleep with him, but I don't have any proof.
Dude, you don't need to have any proof.
Dude, your proof is
You're
in
not
your gut.
sending her to
dude.
jail.
It's your gut.
She's already admitted to you that
It's
she
your
had
gut.
an affair.
Maybe
Leave her.
Maybe they're in one of these countries where you like can't leave people like after you get
Maybe.
married and stuff without like proof or separation or blah blah blah.
But she literally already cheated on you
Which
and
is
admitted
crazy,
it.
by the way. I don't support anything like that. You should be able to leave at will. It's
Let me
wild.
leave.
She always has excuses and reasons and justifications. If I had caught her in the act, it would have been a no-brainer to separate.
I don't think that's true, though.
Brother,
I think if this isn't a no-brainer, then I don't think that. I think you could have been convinced to not leave her in any situation.
I think you're a no-brainer.
Aw.
I'm sorry. That was kind of mean, but
Aw.
honestly,
Aw.
stop it. I feel like this is one of those where it's like
I think you just
writing
need
it
a
out and you're
wake-up
just
call.
like fingers crossed, like, please, internet, tell me I'm being crazy. But you know.
I think you just need a wake-up call. This sucks, but you need to leave her.
That email was 2 months ago, and I just don't know what to do.
Yes, you
You
do.
do.
She claims she loves me and
No,
is
she
inconsolable when I talk about separating, but she clearly had an affair. I need to know she didn't have spicy sleep with him, but she keeps telling me that nothing like that happened? But I don't know if I believe it. She makes me feel ridiculous for not believing her when it's clear she's very capable of lying. I was at a point where having our first kid was just around the corner. Part of me is desperate for all this to blow over. No joke. So we can get to the future we were supposed to have, but I feel pathetic for staying, as you should. Is it possible for us to rebuild our trust?
No.
How long will it take before we can go back to something like we had before?
The heat death of the universe.
You can't.
Any of your experience here is appreciated.
In
She
my
doesn't want
experience,
to-
you should leave.
Yes. She doesn't want me to bring this up to my family because she's isolating you. So it's mostly just been therapy where I have been talking this out. Financially, separation would be worse for her than me. I have a much higher paying job, and I think I am young enough to recover without too much of an issue. And there's an update here. We've already said everything we need to say right now.
Just leave her.
Your spine is a noodle.
Yeah, man.
Leave her.
Your spine is a gelatinous mass.
Leave.
Update. Preface. Thank you for all of your comments. I read every single one.
Good.
I was in denial as they all started rolling in, and I was honestly looking for people to tell me that it would be fine and that they had been through similar situations. Hi, yes, called it. The posters could see I was in denial, and some broke it gently, while others were harsher. Honestly, I needed both.
Good.
So we're vindicated. We were allowed to be that harsh.
Yeah.
That's what OP needed.
OP needed a wake-up call.
Ultimately, you guys were right. It shouldn't matter if they had spicy sleep. The gaslighting and the emotional affair were enough. Her true colors came out when she got caught, and I will never see her the same way again. After staying up all night reading comments on the couch, I got dressed and went to work. I left work at lunch and met up with my oldest brother, 35 male, and his wife, 36 female. They had thought of the world of this girl, but agreed with everything you guys had said. We talked for hours, and I spent a lot of it crying. They were furious I didn't come to them sooner, but I think she had intentionally been isolating me from talking to people.
No.
That's
Who could have thought?
crazy.
Who could have said that?
But I think she had been intentionally isolating me from talking to people that were close to me about it. All my therapist did was echo what I wanted to hear, but the second I talked to them, things started to click. I called my best friend while at my brother's, and he had the exact same reaction. I decided I was done and getting divorced. I texted my
Wife.
My freaking wife.
that I wouldn't be coming home. She started lighting up my phone with messages and phone calls, but I ignored them. My brother and I both called in sick for work the next day, played video games, and drank some silly juice. He wanted me to just drop her and move on, but part of me wanted the whole truth. I knew she would never tell me the truth, so I got creative.
You can't handle the truth.
However, I do agree with your brother that you should just wipe your hands. It doesn't really matter. Just move on. Move forward. Leave this little, this little goblin in the past.
Think about her anymore.
In the middle of the day, I called the number for the affair partner that was in the email. I knew he would lie, but I told him she came clean and said you guys only had spicy sleep once and that it was a mistake.
Shocking!
Yeah. And all I wanted was to hear his version, and that I would leave him alone. He was clearly panicked and immediately agreed, confirmed it was only once and a mistake, but wouldn't give me a day or event when I pressed. He said he was blocking my number and whatever, but this was a start. Now, I don't know if I'm just a sick, deranged, twisted maniac, but I'd be like, hey, you need to get tested. I would want to put the fear of God into this man. Yeah, I'd be like, you should get a test for you should get a disease panel probably.
But that kind of just helps him,
No, I don't know. Just not, just
now he's just got to tested. Everyone should be getting tested.
I mean, sure, but like you just,
you've just kind of helped this man out.
want to put the fear in the man.
So he's a little bit afraid.
I want some kind of punishment, right?
But it's free.
I'm just being vindictive, though.
Unless he has symptoms, it's free.
Well, yeah, I don't know. You probably shouldn't do that, but you know what?
I don't know. Maybe you should.
I don't know.
Help this man out.
I don't know. Yeah, actually, that's what I meant. I meant to just help him. That's what I meant. My brother was curious how one of her coworkers had my email and that it didn't make sense. This wasn't a publicly listed work email. It was a personal one.
Yes, that's what we were talking about earlier. How did they get the email?
I started mindlessly going through my inbox and found old emails from a rec league sports team I organized a couple years ago for my friends, and my wife had invited one of her really close female coworker friends and their partner to join. She had my email and could have sent it to me. My brother was telling me to stop because this was bordering on crazy, but my blessed sister-in-law was egging me on. I called into their work and asked for this coworker's cell, identifying myself as wife's husband, and it was for a social reason. They gave it to me, and once work hours were over, I gave her a call. I told her that the affair partner had come clean and that I think she emailed me, and she immediately admitted to it. She said she hated not approaching me in person but was terrified to do so and thought I might snap at her. She didn't care if anyone at work or if my wife found out. She was just grateful that I wanted to hear the truth. I thanked her for reaching out and said I couldn't talk to the affair partner again and just wanted to hear her side of the story to tell my lawyer. She said she had gone no contact with my wife and confirmed that my wife had an affair in extensive detail.
Ooh.
They had spicy sleep anytime I was out of town or anytime I was working late or overnight, both of which happened multiple times a month. And that it started weeks after our wedding. My wife had essentially been bragging about it to this coworker friend in a very graphic detail. When asked why she wouldn't leave me, my wife talked about how comfortable her life was, how much money I made, and that other people thought I was good looking.
Ooh, wee.
This caused the coworker, who sent me the email, to snap and cut off ties with my wife. The coworker desperately wanted me to find out and was horrified by the situation because she had been cheated on before and that my wife was aware of that. She said friend X, Y, and Z also knew. This felt like a betrayal because X and Y had known me for so long that I considered them my own friends. They were at our house multiple times a month. I wanted to call X and Y, but sister-in-law stopped me. She thought they would give my wife a heads up and said I might enjoy catching her in another lie. I slept at my brother's for a second night and sent a text that I'd be home at 10 a.m. tomorrow to my wife. I went home. She was waiting, asked me what was going on and that she had been worried sick and was anxious and furious. I told her that the affair partner came clean. You guys had the spicy sleep when I was gone whenever. She broke down, said it was just the one time. And that she loved me and couldn't admit to it because I would leave her.
Leave her.
You're like, I couldn't tell you the truth because then I'd have consequences.
Because then I'd have to deal with In fact, I lied to you all this time.
Think about how much I love you. I love you enough to cheat on you and lie to you the entire time we were married.
Oh, I could have told you the truth.
Like, this hurts me more than it hurts you. She also said I was better than the other guy in every way. I think this is what one of the commenters meant in my old post. Then I asked her to promise it was just the one, and she did. She said she was desperate to move on from this and have kids and continue with our comfortable life. I should let it go, etc. Things got quiet, and I kind of just started laughing. I saw her for who she really was. I told her I knew the whole truth, told her about some of what I had heard, and was only here to grab my things and take our dog. She was in disbelief, screamed at me, and locked herself in the washroom. I packed a to-go bag and have been at my brother's since. Meeting with a lawyer later, shout out to my brother, sister-in-law, and the coworker who came through. F those cheaters. And by the way, you can come through and listen to full episodes with stories like this. Just go to iHeartRadio or Spotify or Apple Podcasts and search OK Storytime. It's really all it takes. You can listen to every episode that we've ever made.
Steps.
We have a little bit of story left. I think let's just dive
run
right
it,
in
man.
and finish
Let's
it
freaking
off.
Run it.
To be clear,
Now let me be clear.
I understand that the emotional affair and kissing should have been enough to end things. I had just been in the fog with constant lying and fighting. For some reason, my brain latched on to the idea that they never had spicy sleep, and that somehow meant we still had a chance. My wife made me feel like if I could just get over a kiss, things would be fine. Getting the truth certainly made it much, much, much easier to see her for what she is. On to rebuilding and moving on. I'm also getting a new therapist because the old one should have helped me see the gaslighting and trickle truth and manipulation for what it was. Edit. Oh, and I should have trusted my gut when I first saw and read the texts. Yes, exactly that.
Yeah. You think?
The coworker confirmed that they had been spicy texting and exchanging noodles regularly. Trust your gut, people.
Trust your gut, man.
Bro,
And that is the
coming
end.
from you saying trust our gut.
And also trust the proof when you literally get proof.
Yeah.
Well, now you know. OP now is someone who will always trust their gut, which
Yeah.
we love.
But
Trust
it
your
took
gut.
him a long time to trust his gut.
But-
It did.
My best friend ditched my wedding, but helped a stranger with her wedding?
Yeah, hey, not your best friend.
Yikes.
Not anymore.
That's not your friend. Throwaway account because I just needed to get this experience off my chest. I, 25 female, need to know if I did something or if I am the a-hole. I asked my best friend, 27 female, to be the matron of honor in my wedding in August of 2023 for my wedding in October of 2024. She happily accepted, and by July 14th, 2024, she had dropped out of the bridal party and ghosted me almost entirely. For the purposes of this post, we'll call the friend Bethany.
Oh,
Let's call her Beth.
Bethany.
By the way, this comes from Logical World 7781, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, for some background, Bethany was like my sister. We met through my ex-boyfriend of 4 years, and she helped me to realize I need to break up with him. She helped me through the breakup. I even showed up at her house after midnight a few times just for company and support. We worked together still, would get lunch and coffee every day, and I'd even drive up to her every weekend to get coffee and go shopping. We talk on the phone for an hour plus every day on the way home from work to talk about the day and complain about our boss. I was close with her daughter, who she'd bring with us to our weekend dates, and I asked her to be our flower girl. Again, she happily accepted.
I just have a conspiracy.
You want an ice
What is it?
conspiracy theory?
I think that
All right,
because
there it
I
is.
hear like the complaining about the boss talking for an hour, like
Yeah.
getting lunch and like getting coffee all the time as like coworkers. I feel like maybe OP thinks that they have this like best friendship when really like the other person just thinks they just have like a work
Acquaintance.
friendship.
Yeah. Bethany was the only bridesmaid who showed up to my dress shopping appointment and was so supportive, snapping pictures and taking videos. She came with the bridal party to go shopping for dresses and meshed well with everyone at our group dinner after. The weekend before Bethany backed out of the wedding was her daughter's birthday party. I was invited to all her previous birthdays and attended everyone with gifts in hand. For some reason, I didn't get invited to the party in 2024. I figured because it was at a kid's play place and I don't have children, and that may have been why, but I didn't ask. After the party, Monday and Tuesday, she was silent. No calls, no texts, and acting super distant and weird at work. We sit right next to each other and she wouldn't even look at me. Didn't give any chatter throughout the day. Nothing. I then saw on Facebook that my ex was at her daughter's party. He also doesn't have kids, so my previous assumption was wrong. I thought maybe because my ex and Bethany's husband, we'll call him Tim, were close, that's the reason he was invited, and they didn't want to make him uncomfortable. The weekend of July 14th, I got the below text from Bethany. She said she could no longer be a part of the bridal party due to personal reasons, but was super sweet and assured me it was nothing personal.
It sounds like it was exactly for personal reasons.
Sounds like she said it was for personal reasons, and it was personal. A few days later at work, she told me it was because she was overwhelmed with school and work and not having anyone to watch her daughter. Tim worked nights and weekends. I understood and tried to be as kind as possible, but to be honest, I was really hurt. I would cross an ocean for my friends, and I'd give them an organ, etc. I understand some things can't be changed, but I feel like 3 months was plenty of time to figure out babysitting. It absolutely is.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
3 months?
Yeah,
a quarter of a year?
Come on.
Come
People, I mean, I feel like most babysitting things, gigs, you get like a couple days in advance, so, or maybe like a week in advance.
Like 1 week.
Yeah,
Is probably
it's like, hey, are you free this Saturday?
Sometimes there's
You
emergencies.
got 3 months, girl.
Yeah. Sometimes there's emergencies and it happens the day of, but 3 months? Come on.
Yeah. Plus, her daughter was supposed to be in the wedding, so she'd definitely be at the wedding. Bethany didn't talk to me or respond to texts or calls for a while, and then her daughter got sick. She was in and out of the hospital for almost a week, and I was so scared for her. I tried to support her. I tried calling, texting, and offering anything I could to help her. She wasn't at work, so I couldn't talk to her in person. Again, Bethany and I have spoken daily for over 5 years, so not hearing from her for a week was really concerning. Bethany finally returned to work the next week. Her daughter was feeling better, and Bethany seemed to be a bit more talkative. Well, at lunch alone, I asked her if we were okay. Bethany literally looked dumbfounded and responded, "Why wouldn't we be?" I responded that we hadn't spoken in over a week. She outright ignored my calls and texts, etc. Bethany says, "Everyone was blowing me up asking if daughter was okay, so I just turned my phone off. I was just super annoyed." That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, you don't being like chronically available for every single person on Earth is like a new phenomenon.
Yeah.
That's
It's not
literally
really
a
normal.
superpower. That's literally a superpower.
I knew this wasn't true because another woman at work knew details about what was wrong with Bethany's daughter and has implied she spoke to her every day. Okay, well, a little bit different now.
You can only speak to one person at a time all day.
However, in the conversation with Bethany, I apologized for blowing her up and annoying her. And she said, "No, not you, just everyone else."
Well, it was probably you too.
So I let it go. But since then, we don't call, we don't text, we don't hang out outside of work. Not for my lack of trying. She just ghosted me. And yet I had to see her at work every single day, have coffee together, and act like everything was hunky-dory. We discussed at work that Bethany and her daughter were still invited to the flower party, bridal shower, and wedding, plus Tim too. At first, Bethany was on board and acted excited to still attend everything. As each event came, Bethany simply didn't show. No text or anything. The bridal party was the only thing she outright texted me to tell me she wasn't able to come the day of. After that, literally 3 weeks before my wedding, Bethany said, "I don't know if I can even come to the wedding anymore. Tim has to work and I have schoolwork to do." I'm sorry, you can't take one day off from your schoolwork? You can't do your schoolwork a little bit earlier?
But also, you know what?
Come
Like
on.
OP, it's time for you to take the hint.
This is not your friend. I was shocked. I asked if her and Tim could switch days with someone, if she could get her schoolwork done for that day at another time. And she said she just couldn't do it.
Right.
All this happened consecutively 3 months before the wedding. How do you know 3 months in advance that you just can't get your schoolwork done?
She's trying to tell you right now that you need to find someone else.
Yeah, this is not your friend. I was devastated. I had basically lost my best friend and my connection with her daughter. Bethany, all the while acting like she didn't care at all. She didn't make an effort to repair our relationship or even try to explain what the heck happened for all this to occur. The day of my wedding came, and deep down, I'd hope she'd at least text me. Nor did she in the 2 weeks following while on our honeymoon. We didn't speak until I came back to work, and she never once congratulated me or asked about the wedding. Not once. I haven't seen Bethany outside of work, texted, or talked since her daughter's birthday party. I'm heartbroken and taking the steps to heal and move on as best I can while still seeing her every day and acting like I'm fine. This was brought back up because she recently applied to a new job, got an offer, and put in her resignation. I was happy for her and still want nothing but the absolute best for her, and this was a great company with what seemed like a much less toxic work environment. She put in her resignation, and I felt a bit of relief knowing I wouldn't have to see her every day and bring up the pain of our friendship. Our company counter offered her the day before she was supposed to leave, and she accepted. And once again, I'm devastated.
Oh man.
So sad.
Come on.
It's so sad that it's come to the point where like you're devastated that your friend is staying. The pain doesn't stop when I have to see her every day. Last week at our group lunch, our male coworker Jason was talking about getting married soon and how his fiance Eileen doesn't have many girlfriends to go shopping with, etc. Bethany tells him she'll go dress shopping with Eileen and help her plan the wedding. I literally tried not to laugh out loud. Bethany and Eileen have met once at a work event. They didn't even have each other's phone numbers. What the F? I had to use every ounce of willpower the good Lord had bestowed upon me not to laugh out loud. How could she help this random woman with her wedding when she couldn't attend a single event for mine? After committing to be matron of honor and her daughter being our flower girl, I was flabbergasted and pissed off and had to keep my mouth shut. Then, just today, again at a group lunch, she proclaimed she's hanging out with Eileen this weekend to talk wedding stuff. Jason and Bethany giggled, and I'm literally sitting across from them trying not to gouge my eyeballs out with a fork. But you'll never have to gouge your eyeballs out if you listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app and search for Boogie Storytime.
Don't gouge your eyeballs.
Don't
just
do it.
Gouge the wax out of your ear.
Yeah, and
so
take
you
a
can
listen. Take a freaking listen.
Properly.
There is a little bit left. Girl, this is not your friend. Not your friend.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, not your friend.
It's not an easy situation to be a part of, but
Yeah.
it's like you need when you like see like the reality of the situation. Like maybe they can't. Maybe they just can't. Maybe they're still just looking at this like through the lens of this is my best friend.
Yeah.
But like I don't even know if that was ever the case.
Might not have been.
I think, and maybe, you know,
Well,
I don't
they
think
said
that's OP's fault.
Yeah.
It's definitely like Bethany's not being straight up, but like let this be a lesson. Like you can detect that kind of behavior, and instead of like you know, like 3 months going by and it's like you just file that away in your head. You go, okay, this is not a person who's available for me anymore. This is not a person who values my friendship. This is really more of an acquaintanceship.
Yeah.
And move forward with that knowledge, and that'll help you, I think, let go.
Yeah,
of
find people
the
who are going to
past.
be there for you.
And you can find exactly.
Am I crazy to be effing livid? Did I do something to upset her last summer to cause our friendship to dissolve? Everything seemingly happened out of nowhere. All the recent events and comments since my wedding are getting under my skin. It seems like in some cases she's intentionally trying to hurt me. She's extremely smart and a bit manipulative, so I wouldn't put it past her. Am I the a-hole for wishing she'd left for the other job? Can anyone provide any hint as to what the F happened? Please help me process. And that is the end of that story. I think just at the end of the day, unless she comes to you and says like, hey, you did this and this wrong or something, like you've hurt me or offended me or something, you can't, like, you can try and figure out and try and, you know, rummage around your brain for what you possibly could have done, but that's just gonna like make you go crazy. So I feel like unless she brings it up to you, you just have to be like, you know what, that's her problem, and I'm gonna move on without her in my life.
Yeah.
We revoked being business partners with our boss, and it was a nightmare.
Yeah, I imagine that wouldn't go well. I think we're going to get some Sue happy people very soon.
Yes, I imagine that would not go over well. My wife and I are in the restaurant industry. She is an incredibly talented chef and is the executive chef at the gastro pub we both work at, while I am the de facto lead cocktail waitress / server. By the way, this comes from a deleted user, and if you want to submit your own stories, go over to the r/OK Storytime subreddit and do it there. So, a little relevant background information. My wife has opened a few restaurants in our city and other cities prior to this one, and has a good amount of press and professional interest. Her brand as a chef is really starting to take off, but it is in no way entirely or even mostly because of her current position. I've also been in the restaurant industry in this city and other cities, serving and bartending for years. We are restaurant lifer couple. We were the first employees of this restaurant, the only full-time employees, and we opened it with the owners along with a handful of part-time servers, bartenders, and line/prep cooks. It is a small upscale gastropub in a really vibrant neighborhood in a large coastal city. We have great guests and even better reviews, and like I mentioned above, my wife is getting more and more press and interest. When the two of us were hired, professional interest in my wife was part of the reason why the owners offered us a chance to eventually buy in and become co-owners of the gastropub and any future restaurants they owned. This was, we decided, a great opportunity for both of us, and for the first few months, we opened in early early spring, things have been wonderful. Happy guests, the aforementioned great reviews. My wife has almost total autonomy in the kitchen. It has been an incredibly great work experience that made us really confident in using a huge amount of money to become partners. 3 weeks ago, we unfurled a brunch program to accompany our dinner cocktail program with the intention that I would run the floor for service along with our owner's wife, who has been a stay-at-home mom for a year or so after a couple decades of restaurant industry work. The first weekend, his wife and I worked fairly well together. I think we both anticipated some growing pains with communication, like a normal new coworker situation, but nothing negative materialized until the second weekend. His wife seemed to have a hard time relinquishing control over every single guest and table that we had.
Control freak. She thinks she's the star of this little restaurant.
You never do see that in the restaurant industry. I've never once
Control freaks?
had a control freak.
I don't know. I think
I'm
every
being sarcastic. They're
okay.
all control freaks.
Do you think you kind of need to be
That's
like?
a lie,
I feel
actually.
like
Not all of them, but most of them. And as a result, began interfering with my guests and tables instead of focusing on her own. In frustration, I lashed out in a really petty and mildly rude way. I snapped and asked if she just wanted me to gender diverse her my tables since she clearly wanted to take them all. I just snapped and asked if she wanted me to just give her my tables since she clearly wanted to take them all. She asked if she was stepping on any toes, and I told her I would appreciate being able to connect with my own guests and tables, and I felt she was interfering. She said she understood, and for the rest of the shift, in my view, we went back to being cordial and professional and had no further confrontations. And when the shift was over, I headed home without any serious further thought. When my wife came home, she had been in the restaurant kitchen when the altercation took place and comes home later than I do since she has significantly longer shifts. She told me that both the owner and his wife sat her down and read her the riot act of my apparent behavior problems and work performance issues, and that because they didn't want to upset my wife, they wanted her to talk to me about my apparent issues. My wife told them to keep her completely out of it, and any work-related issues they had with me needed to be addressed to me, as was appropriate. I should mention that prior to hearing this from my wife, virtually no work-related problems have been brought to my attention. I am generally a reliable, well-liked employee with pretty solid amounts of glowing guest reviews. I decided to head up early the next morning and discuss this one-on-one with the owner's wife. I figured this was a pretty big miscommunication with some weird missteps on both parties and wanted to have a calm and reasonable face-to-face discussion. I figured maybe the two of us just weren't quite communicating well, and we could figure out a way to work together and ultimately be in business together that would benefit both of us. So I met with her before work with the anticipation also of apologizing for being totally petty with my comment the weekend before. Reddit, this was the most absurd and pointless conversation I have ever had in my adult professional life. I opened the conversation explaining that I was upset and was trying to be diplomatic, but was having a hard time navigating our situation, and I felt it was inappropriate for her and her husband to discuss issues of mine with my wife. That was the longest sentence I managed to get out before her index finger went up and the voice started raising.
I hate the index finger. Excuse me, can you just shut up?
Actually, I have some things to say.
And it's very much important, and way more important whatever you were gonna say, so zip it.
Be outstanding. Call her ugly.
Okay, I'm not gonna do that.
Be different.
Be different, but I do
Should
feel
be
like you have
like-
to say like I feel like if you just said what's your favorite movie, like people would be like, eh.
I was told I had bad vibes, I was rude, and around customers I had a bad attitude towards her and by extensions the guests and our restaurant. I was informed repeatedly that she was from New York and she just always talked like this. She didn't know what I wanted or needed out of trying to have a conversation with her. It was pretty heavily implied that I'm her subordinate, which I suppose technically I am and always will be. It was pretty condescending and defeatist. She ended up abruptly walking out of the conversation and I ended up crying in public, which was mortifying. She ended up walking up to my wife, who was back in the restaurant kitchen, and apologizing to her for all the drama and asked my wife how old I was. I'll say this for my wife. She's not an enabler. She's supportive, but if she thinks I'm being unreasonable or over the top, or generally seeing a situation inaccurate way, she will not hesitate to tell me. We were both really appalled with how this had been handled, and we've both decided after days of talking that it's pretty clear we aren't willing to go into business with this couple. We have some really fundamentally different ways of communicating and dealing with guests and service, and my wife and I aren't willing to deal with their communication style. We've decided to move on in December, probably head back to Vegas, aka the Mecca of food.
Is that
where we live?
is that
prior to this
accurate?
city.
Vegas. I mean,
It
Vegas
is-
is known for great food because it has
I
like the
guess-
crazy hotels
Yeah.
and
No,
stuff.
I'll tell
In
you why.
America,
Is
maybe
it the Mecca of
I'll
food
tell you why.
though?
I'll tell you
the
why.
Mecca of food is
Are you ready
crazy.
for this? Mecca of food's crazy, but I'll tell you why it's called like that.
Why?
Buffets. It has the most buffets, but the buffets are crazy. They're like
Well, I don't
5-star
feel
buffets.
like it's the buffets. I feel like it's like a lot of really high-end chefs open restaurants in Vegas in these big, gaudy monstrosity hotels.
I mean,
Like
yeah,
I know
that
Gordon
too.
Ramsay has a lot of restaurants down there.
But I will
That's
say,
really
yeah,
it.
I will say the Mecca of food,
What?
New York City.
Yeah, I was going to say. However, my owner, not his wife, sent me a text saying the two of us, the owner and me, need to have a discussion about the whole situation. He's already assured my wife that I'm a good server and not getting fired. Cue the eye roll. But at this point, I'm really not sure how to proceed or what to talk to him about, or if I should agree to meet at all. At this point, my wife and I are just removing ourselves mentally from the business, treating it like any other job, and moving on in 4 months. Neither of us are willing to stay, and we're both confident and happy with our decision. If anyone is still here after that mountain of text, my question is, how do I/we navigate this situation? What do I say in my meeting with my owner? And I am a fairly clever and aloof person, so I have no problem either playing dumb or being a yes man or vehemently defending myself, although I'm leaning towards the former because I'm already emotionally and mentally moved on. What is the best way to handle this? And there are some comments. Sam, how would you handle this if you had to handle it?
I mean, you don't want to like F anyone over, right? But you also don't want to be in a relationship that is actively just destroying your happiness, and also might not lead to any like financial success either. If it's
Right.
if there's this much distraughtness already. So
Yeah.
I would try to leave elegantly without screwing everyone over.
Comment number 1, meet with him and see what he has to say. He is the boss, and if you plan to continue working there, he might know his wife is crazy and offer you an olive branch, or maybe he'll confirm that his wife is your superior and you need to check the attitude. OP says, all good points. Thanks for your response. I think if he confirms she is my superior, that would reiterate we're doing the right thing moving on. He likely thinks we're still on board to give him tens of thousands of dollars to buy parts of his business. Kind of a win-win, lose-lose situation. The reply says, it sounds to me like he's considering your wife a future business partner and you a side effect. Probably a smart move to go somewhere else. That being said, it can't hurt to hear what you have to say, and finding out his wife's antics cost him his investors, his star chef, and front of house will be a major ego check. OP says this is exactly how it feels, which, I mean, of course, his star chef is the golden child. I'm all about that. She's fantastic. But yes, I think he needs a bit of a wake-up call, although in order to keep the peace for the duration, my wife and I would prefer to have a pretty brutally honest exit interview, sort of a situation when we put our notice in, rather than me getting defensive and word vomiting about these problems when I meet him tomorrow. I agree with that. If your plan is to leave, that's what you should lead with. You should lead with the fact that you're out. Thanks for all of the responses. Reddit is a lot of fun. I should involve myself more. And there is a second comment here. I hate it when people try to justify acting crappy because they're from somewhere. Just because you're from New York City doesn't mean it's acceptable to be rude to people or to be able to talk to people in unpleasant ways. And we have the update. Hello all. I have to say, I really am blown away by the diplomacy and sympathy I received with my first post. I really thought this was a pretty mild topic that wouldn't receive too much attention, so I'm really grateful for everyone that took the time to comment. Seriously, once I hit 7 upvotes and 4 comments, I thought that was going to be the end. I want to clarify and expand on a few details before I dive into the update. First, I have absolutely no ego about my job. I'm a freaking waitress. I'm completely aware it's unskilled labor and certainly doesn't take any specific skill set to be competent at it, which I disagree with that, but
Talking to people and making them feel like welcome and loved is one of the hardest
Yeah.
and also best things that you can learn.
you're essentially public speaking to a very small group of
You're
audience
curating a
members
vibe.
constantly all day.
Yeah. The
Which
only
not
job
everyone
in the
can be good
future
at
will be
that.
curating vibes.
In fact, if you've ever been to a restaurant, you'll know there are people who at
Yeah.
it.
A lot of people.
So that said, I love my job. I served and bartended through 2 college degrees and kept on going afterwards. I have a blast at work, but I am absolutely aware that my wife is a significantly more valuable employee. And were this a simple employment situation, I would happily just move to a new job. I also wanted to clarify on the owner's wife's interference when I snapped at her. She wasn't simply checking on tables and refilling water and pre-bussing tables. At one point, she was standing at one of my tables for 3 to 4 minutes, which is a long booty time in the restaurant world, talking about her 4 kids and which ones still breastfeed and her mortgage and how much she would lose if the business failed and the application
She's
process.
talking about
my wife
the
went through.
business failing
Yeah.
at the tables.
This is nuts. You don't do that. That's classic.
I mean, I've
I worked
never
with a
waited
guy-
tables, but I imagine that would not have tips
buddy.
go too well.
It was incredibly inappropriate and a really invasive service style. I usually don't even let my own guests know I'm married to the chef unless it organically comes up in conversation. Multiple tables were actively complaining to me about her service style, which led to the admittedly petty comment I made to her. Anyway, I went in to meet the owner. I asked our bar manager to be present at the meeting as well. Bar manager is a longtime friend of the owner and was present for the initial altercation and the private conversation the owner's wife and I had. So the 3 of us chatted for about 5 minutes. I said very little and mostly took the general advice here of deferring to whatever my boss said. I generally employed 3 key phrases: I understand, you're absolutely right, and I'm sorry. My bar manager, with whom I primarily work with rather than the owner, completely shut down any tense moments by immediately telling the owner that I was a self-assured, seasoned server who needed little to no direction, and that the owner's wife overstepped her boundaries in a big way, which led to a pretty undesirable reaction from me. The owner pretty much deflated after that. He hemmed and hawed a bit about me being inappropriate, to which I agreed, and then repeatedly told me his wife had no problem with me. I cheerfully answered, "Great, I look forward to working with her next shift," and that essentially ended the conversation. I did ask the owner point blank if his wife was considered my superior when we worked together. He looked confused and clarified that no, she was considered my complete equal, both on the floor and off. He also firmly stuck to his belief in being justified in discussing my personnel performance issues with my wife, a statement to which I again deferred. Big, absolutely. Hey, that is honestly the best way in an environment like that, where you already know you're out. You just go, "Hey, yeah, that's okay." No, I agree, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because like the only thing that you gain is just pain by disagreeing with any of this.
Yeah, and
The
if you already know you're not staying, then
Yeah.
then
Just give in.
just say. So that was the planned end of my update until a pretty serious conversation with my wife last night. Prior to and aside from this altercation, there have been some instances that my wife witnessed that really made her question if we should invest with them. Apparently, our owner has been getting hammered during his shifts. He works
my
alone
God.
behind the bar a few days early in the week, whereas I work the later weekdays and the weekend. He has been so hammered to the point where he has fallen over in front of guests behind the bar and completely been unable to make cocktails. We are an upscale craft cocktail bar and been visibly intoxicated with heavy slurring, generally giving terrible, wasted service.
Maybe he's just taking a shot with everyone. He's like, you know what? If you take a shot, I'll take a shot.
Hey, you know that what they say, one for you, one for me.
Maybe 2 for me.
2. You know what they say, I have a problem. The breaking point for my wife was 2 one-star Yelp reviews within minutes of each other, specifically calling out his service. One guest had to actually go to the kitchen window to get her own food. It's terrible. I was completely appalled and upset for and with her, and we both agreed this is not the way we want to run a business and reiterated to each other that any potential partnership with this couple wasn't going to happen. We are both professionally serious people, both committed to her career goal, and neither of us will do anything to jeopardize that. And by the way, your ears will be in jeopardy of not hearing more stories
Just like
like
one.
this in full episodes of our podcast that you can find on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and wherever you get podcasts from. Just search OK Story Time.
Do it.
Anyway, we are both on the same page now. We're keeping our savings intact and completely mentally/emotionally checked out of going into business with this couple and generally getting all of our ducks in a row to head back to Vegas so she can get back into some of those top-tier restaurants. Our lease is up in November, so we'll just ride it out until then. Reddit, I really appreciate the attention this query received. It really felt a bit unmoored with how to handle it, and I'm glad that you all essentially told me to follow my instincts and play it safe, close to the vest. That's it. Thanks, everyone. And that's it,
And
folks.
that's a wrap.
the end.
So
play it
if
close
you're
to the
going to go
vest.
into business with someone,
Play it close to the vest.
or I actually have advice on this one.
Let's go, Sam.
All
Sam,
right.
businessman.
You are going to start a business, and like I feel like they should have done like a pop-up beforehand, or
Well, they weren't partnered yet. They were just some of the first in play. We're going to partner.
I just feel like they should have
But
should have
it-
tested things like in a
You know, this-
smaller way, like
sounds
maybe
like
like
a-
a week in and see like, hey, let's do a week stint and see how it is instead of committing like or somewhat committing off the bat.
It sounds like they got committed for the wife. This guy is definitely, I mean, probably not anticipating losing his head chef, but if you're scaring customers at the bar,
You're probably not going to be
not a
around
good
long.
owner. You're a bad owner if you're scaring your own customers at the bar.
But if they ask more questions, maybe you could give context, but get out of there first.
yeah.
2 boyfriends in a row broke up with me because they're jealous of my boss.
Is your boss trying to be your boyfriend?
I, 27 female, and am an executive assistant at a fast-paced job. I am one of my bosses, 32 male, 2 executive assistants, and I was handpicked for the position after his last one retired through a personality assessment, in addition to skills assessments, 2 years ago from within the company. I assumed her duties, which included the typical but also a lot of life management, including shopping, clothes, and food, his schedule, and basically making his life easier in a variety of ways. By the way, this comes from No Work Life Ball, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, the personality assessment and us both being married to work has made us a working relationship. Ooh, I don't like that. In addition, the first year was full of a lot of stress for both of us. His girlfriend left him for his best friend, and my father passed away. That made us close friends. When my first boyfriend Patrick left me and was jealous of my position, I assumed he was jealous of the hours / didn't understand our changing life / didn't want a girlfriend who was frankly a bummer at the time. However, yesterday my boyfriend, 24 male, of 4 months, Aaron, broke up with me because I don't want to be the oblivious guy in the rom-com. I was surprised. While Aaron and I weren't serious, between our schedules we were really just getting to know each other, I liked him and was excited about the future. He had a good sense of humor and was so busy with his own work that he didn't mind Netflix, Chinese, and chilling being the bulk of our relationship. I love my job and I love my boss. But can this all be a coincidence? Do I need to draw lines? And how do I draw lines? Here are some things that Aaron cited when I asked what he meant. I answer his phone calls on his first ring, which, well, yeah, it's work. I spend late nights with him doing date-like things. Usually this is work-related or food after a long night with no break for meals. We aren't going on romantic getaways or holding hands at the movies. We have each other's spare keys. I have spent Thanksgiving with his family. I buy his underwear, work. Nowhere else to go when my dad passed away, work. He's given me head rubs before and gets me frequent gifts. Typically, things he buys himself, he will grab 2 of, or just generous gifts for holidays or as thanks for working extra hard. That is all the concrete stuff he gave. The rest was vague things. You know everything about him. You smile every time you mention him, blah, blah, blah. I really don't know if my boyfriends just aren't understanding of my work. I am not sure whether I am genuinely too close or if I am just your average workaholic. Advice? I don't want to quit my great job or lose a great friend. And we have some comments. Comment 1. I've had executive assistants in the past and been around countless others. I have never seen a CEO with a key to the EA's apartment whose underwear is bought by her or who gives her head massages. Your boyfriend's reactions are not surprising in the slightest. Comment 2. Is your boss the same way with his other assistant? That's a good question. An OP whose comment was downvoted 47 times.
Nice.
No, she has kids and loves working for him. He really is a good boss because he insists she leaves at 5 on the dot. She also has responsibilities that involve her leaving his sphere more often. She doesn't get my bonuses, though. I replaced an older woman who was actually his nanny growing up and then got hired on in the company when he got too old. Nepotism is weird. Comment 3. You're filling the roles of nanny, best friend, and girlfriend to this guy. That's a lot of blurred boundaries and a lot of expectations to heap on one person. How many hours per week do you spend with your boss? How often is your personal time interrupted with calls and texts from him? Do you think of him first as your boss or first as your friend? Do you prioritize his needs above your own or your boyfriend's? And if you were interviewing for an executive assistant position at another company and you described your current job to them the way you have here, how do you think they would view you? Answering these questions may give you some insight into what is going on here. It does sound to me like you're too close and that this job is not strictly professional. Head rubs are insanely inappropriate in a boss/subordinate relationship. Buying underwear is nowhere near what an executive assistant does in any place I've ever worked. I think you both may have over-relied on each other due to your personal circumstances, and as a result, you function more like best friends or a couple than you do employer/employee. It's easy to understand why your boyfriends have felt uncomfortable. I think it will be hard to draw lines at this point because your job seems to have no boundaries around it. Anything and everything could be considered work, so if you try to stop doing any of it, you risk being seen as unwilling to do your job. If you and your boss really are close, then you could approach him with it as a concern. Let him know that 2 different people have pointed out that they felt your job interfered with your personal life and that this has made you rethink some things. But that's going to come with some risk.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, I was thinking...
As soon as you become the not cool assistant, you're getting fired.
Yeah.
Not fair.
I mean, hopefully not. Hopefully he's accepting of your boundaries and
He's
can
got a
find
key to your
that.
place. He's buying
Yeah.
you underwear.
No, she's buying him underwear.
Whatever.
So a
same.
lot of what she was saying at first to me sounded more like you were hired in as a personal assistant. Because I've done the mix of like semi-executive assistant, semi-personal assistant before, and I did have a key to my boss's house, but he did not have a key to my house, and it was like to pick up groceries for him because that was the personal assistant side of things. But if you were hired as an executive assistant, you should never be going out of the office tasks.
Stay within your parameters.
Yeah, that becomes personal assistant at that point, and if that's what he wants, that's a different job. Commenter 4. I think it is pretty telling that at one point in your post you refer to him as my Mal. Okay, that's his name.
Yeah, that also is super telling because we read that and we were like, what does she mean? Her job, her position, her boss? And it's like, why are you calling him my Mal? That's insane.
Yeah. And someone replies, I saw that too, but I think she may have intended to write my boss at first and then tried to change it to Mal for clarity while forgetting to delete the my part of it, to be honest. Happens to me all the time. And OP says, yes, an accident.
Okay, I believe that. I do believe that because it makes no sense.
Yeah. And we have an update.
Let's go.
A lot of you had some really good advice, and I took it all in. I would like to take a moment to defend my job. I am not a sugar baby or a glorified nanny. For example, today I came in and spent the first 2 hours revising a presentation and preparing materials that Mal was to give after lunch. Then I helped him rehearse, made some verbiage suggestions, and brought him up to speed on a few attendees. Afterwards, I read through employee satisfaction reports, summed them up into a quantitative and qualitative data. I set up the conference room, went to get lunch for us, grabbed the dry cleaning. After lunch, greeted meeting attendees, took notes during meeting. After meeting, continued with the employee satisfaction report. I formed a committee to handle some rough spots it uncovered, made materials for committee, then I began researching an incentive program that I would like to implement. Answered emails with ongoing concerns, scheduled and reviewed Mal's calendar, called final job candidates and tried to fit them in for final interviews with Mal. That summarizes the day. Yeah, so that sounds exactly like when I was a mix of executive assistant and personal assistant. There was that weird, like, hey, pick up my dry cleaning, but also run meetings and interview people.
Yeah.
It's a weird line.
I mean, if it's literally impacting your personal relationships, though, like maybe, I mean, just have a discussion with your boss.
Finally, I asked Mal if he wanted to grab a drink to celebrate a 3-day weekend. We only had a 1-day last week due to a conference. He was surprised, but agreed. I told him that the boyfriend and I had broken up. He said that he hadn't cared for him, and I could do better. I said I needed more of a work-life balance because at some point I would like a serious relationship. He acted dumbfounded. I don't text that often. Don't you like blank? I thought we were friends too. And it was hard to tell him that I wanted all of that, but I couldn't because he can't be my best friend and pseudo-boyfriend and boss. I love my job and him, but I need to think long-term. By the way, you can listen long-term by looking up full stories with episodes just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime.
Yeah.
We got a little bit more, but how you feeling?
Oh, we need conversations.
Yeah.
We just need to have discussions.
Yeah, and it sounds like maybe he does kind of want that very deep, intimate relationship. And, I mean, go girly, set your boundaries. I hope he listens to them.
Yeah, that's very important.
He was very upset and asked if I wanted to move departments, if he was that bad. Honestly, I was upset too, and of course I don't want to move departments. I suggested we develop time frames and put a little distance in between us, such as not texting at certain times and me sitting in the outer area of the office more often. He said, sure, whatever, and then made an excuse to leave. Later, he texted me, this will be the last text you get from me after 7:30. This is all BS. I don't give an F about my underwear. I care about losing my best friend.
Yeah, this was the right move. You've made the correct decision.
Yep. I haven't responded because I feel like I broke up with my best friend and I don't know what to say. I feel like I cut off my hand. I feel like I broke up with the most important person in my life, but I know that something had to change.
Dude.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, you feel like you broke up with someone. You were dating your boss without knowing it.
Come on, bro. That's crazy. Oh, I care about losing my best friend.
Yeah.
And then he's definitely like, you started as my best friend, but now I'm in love with you.
Yeah, I think your
And
boss
it's-
is in love with you. Comment 1. You should quit your job and just start dating him. You are clearly in love with the guy. And someone responds, seriously, I just want to shake OP. This guy is clearly head over heels in love with her, and she's just a step behind him. Get with him, girl. He's known you for years and is clearly interested. If it comes to it, yeah, you may need a new job, but that isn't a bad thing if you find your soulmate in the process. I don't agree with that. I do not agree with that.
Did these people
What the
not
heck?
read the end of this story? I mean, it's possible.
They totally can be, but also, like, don't throw away your potential job for that. Like, I potentially do agree with find a new job or at least put feelers out and look for a new job. But, like, you don't have to start dating this guy. What?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just crazy that you tried to set a boundary and it immediately goes ballistic and is like being like, oh, fine. Well, I'm so awful. I guess I won't see you ever again.
And then everyone's like, you should date him. Who
That was
knows?
dumb.
My vegan coworker keeps pushing our limits. So she got reported to HR.
First you were vegan. Now you will be gone.
I will always make that joke.
As the title states, I have this vegan coworker, we'll call her Vegan, who is very active
Oh, wait,
on
can we-
Facebook
can we
and
call her
is
Vegan
in
instead?
the office about being vegan and how cruel farming is and everything. By the way, this comes from Throwaway a Vegan. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OK Storytime subreddit.
That's right.
So,
Go to the subreddit and
Let's-
do it.
can we-
However, I have to reiterate.
each to their own. I don't necessarily disagree with their views on animal cruelty, but here's the thing.
Mhm.
I'm a hunter,
Oh, I am also a hunter of sorts.
not a trophy hunter, but I do shoot feral pigs, rabbits, ducks, introduced classified game ducks, and foxes, and I fish too. Man is
What do
hunting
you
everything.
got against foxes, my guy? What are we doing?
All except for the fish are classified as pests. Foxes, especially unalive native wildlife and farm animals, and farmers will often put you up on their property for free to hunt them. I have passed tests here, especially for identification of game ducks versus protected species, and practice ethical hunting, i.e. I allow the animal to have a fair chance, no dogs or tracking devices, practicing marksmanship, and dispatching prey swiftly and humanely and not wasting the meat. None of that is obviously good enough for vegans. When she first came onto the team and told everyone she was a vegan, I kept my mouth shut about my hunting. I also think she's really intolerant because she preaches to people about how going vegan will help with their various ailments and always turns up her nose at people eating up meat in a microwave. As a result, we've kind of consciously started excluding her when we get up for lunch. However, last year, I started going hunting more regularly with a work friend from another department whose uncle owns a farm where feral pigs are like an issue, and he often swings by to have a chat about guns/bows and our next trip, and she found out I was a hunter.
Oh, I bet she's not going to have anything to say about that. Gonna have nothing to say, no input.
This isn't even at our desk. It's in the kitchen area that has tables and stuff. We sometimes eat our lunch together. Ever since then, every conversation I've had with her, she's referred to hunting and how cruel it is. One time I wore a leather pencil skirt to work. Oh, I was totally imagining OP as a man.
I guess I was too.
I was
honestly,
totally imagining OP as a man, and that's very sexist of us.
I don't even know.
How dare you, Dakota?
I
how dare
was
me?
imagining OP as just a blob. I had no image.
And she had a go at me for wearing animal products. She seems to have singled me out because of the fact that I go hunting. My boss has no spine. I've tried talking to him about this, but she just intimidates him and makes it seem like she's being persecuted, and he has to back down from that. She even tried to get a vegan shelf in the fridge and tried to rope in some Hindu vegetarian guys to do that, but they pointed out that they use milk and cheese and honey in their cooking. They also think she's nuts. It's gotten to the point where we go out for drinks on a Friday night at 5 and we never ask her. Well, if she's such a buzzkill, I can understand.
Right. It's like, oh, we don't want to go out with you because you're annoying to be around because all you do is talk down at others.
Yeah.
It's never a conversation on this level. It's always on that level. You're going down. Just talk to me like we are both people.
It's hard to do when you're better than everyone as a vegan.
Yeah.
When you got those
like,
vegan superpowers.
I don't know.
Yeah, now you understand.
I don't organize these things. A coworker does, but my boss told me when I brought it up in one-on-one meetings that she feels really left out, and she seems to think it's my fault because I've been here for longer and I'm somehow poisoning them against her or something. I just say I don't talk to her unless it's work related, and she's more than adequate at her job. It's actually become something of a joke or catchphrase. I told my boss I don't organize anything except official events, and she's always been invited. If she's not invited to informal stuff, that's not even organized by me, and that's not my problem. The coworker that doesn't invite her, she managed to piss him off because he's eaten guinea pig. He's from Peru, and she asked him if he'd eaten any of his other pets too. For the record, he never ate a guinea pig that was a pet. It's something they eat in Peru, as the Peruvians do. Whenever she brings up hunting or anything, I just point blank ask her, is there anything work related that you want to talk about? And if there wasn't, I would just start talking to someone else or just walk off. I have asked her multiple times to keep conversations work related. I never start a conversation with her at all. Most of the time, she pounces when I'm in the kitchen making tea, getting water, or just stretching my legs. One time last week, a group of us were talking and she got up to join the discussion. A horrible silence fell over the group. You join discussion. It goes,
silence falls upon the group.
To the point where I just excused myself and went to my desk, and so did a few others. It all came to a head in our team meeting today when our boss, usually at the end, asked if there's any positive news or celebrations outside of work people want to share, like engagements, marathons, charity appeals, etc. And Vegan sarcastically asked me how many lives I'd taken last weekend. You're the worst. You're the worst. You don't need to make your vegan tirade points at every moment. I got annoyed and said her constant badgering about my hobbies and choice to eat meat was discriminatory and bothersome, and that unless it was work related, she was not to engage me in conversation otherwise, and told our scribe to put that in the meeting notes. She seemed a bit shocked by that, and my boss looked uncomfortable but said fair enough. I thought that was the end of that, but then right before our boss went to close the meeting, 2 other coworkers put their hands up and asked Vegan to only engage them in work-related discussions, and that they were also uncomfortable being given non-medical health advice pertaining to their choice to consume meats and their diets. Again, boss looked uncomfortable but asked Vegan to respect their wishes and close the meeting. Vegan didn't look anyone in the eye after that, but headed straight to the bathroom. I bet you Vegan thinks she's like some kind of martyr. She's like, I'm just doing what's best for these animals.
I do understand, though. It's a hard position to essentially get called out by like your whole office group or whatever, like in a day.
My boss was trying to get one of the coworkers to see if she was okay, and I think one of them eventually checked up on her, but she was in a cubicle and asked to be left alone. She eventually came out and asked my boss to leave early, which she did. I feel awful now. She embarrassed me in front of my team with the lives taking comment, so I pushed back, but I am caught between not wanting her to be miserable and not wanting anything to do with her at all. A few of my coworkers and I ended up in a proactive conference call after this with HR, who basically said they'd always been subjected to unwanted advice and jabs about eating meat, and that was not okay, but some mediation was in order to ensure we cut the tension in the workplace.
Yeah,
which
true.
this should have been addressed way earlier. Like the tension had been building, and honestly, that guy's a bad boss for not addressing it when it was first brought up. The HR rep then called my boss, who explained what happened in the team meeting and complaints that we'd made one-on-one, etc. But then he went into a meeting room and didn't hear the rest of the discussion. I don't know what to do, assuming she comes into work tomorrow, or if I should even talk to her at all. There are some comments, but Demote, what should OP do? Tell me.
I think you're doing the right thing. It's just HR. This is an HR problem.
Comment 1, chiming in as a vegan here. We now have the vegan perspective. She's being completely ridiculous. She has now created a hostile workplace for you and your coworkers. As a vegan in the world, she cannot expect to never encounter meat eaters.
Right.
It's one thing to state your opinions. It is quite another to berate your coworkers.
Right.
If she didn't want to work with meat eaters, she should choose a vegan company to work for. Do not engage her further. She has been harassing you. This is her problem now. Another reply from another vegan here. My random guess is that she's a relatively new vegan, still getting caught up in the euphoric heavy evangelism phase some of us go through, and hasn't yet learned a more nuanced vegan advocacy ethic. She needs a wake-up call. This could be that moment from her, and I think OP has handled it correctly so far. And another comment, I know you are uncomfortable and feel guilty, but this is essentially your boss's fault. I agree. The boss has not done crap.
Yeah, the boss facilitating this environment is
The
whack.
boss has done absolutely
is whack
nothing.
Boss behavior, not
Whack.
very cool.
Not very
bad,
cash money of the boss.
very stinky.
You made a boundary request. You didn't attack her as a person. You cited the behavior you wanted stopped, and that was all. He should have pulled her aside and said there had been complaints about her pushing her views unsolicited onto other coworkers, and that it was inappropriate, that she should consider this a verbal warning, and the next time would be written, and the third time would be termination. That is the boss's job. He didn't do it, and now everyone else had to confront her and make her feel bad. She brought this on herself, and your boss enabled it. It isn't your responsibility to fix it. I hate hunting and was a vegetarian for a long time. This situation isn't a belief problem. It is a behavior problem. Comment 3, I think before we get into the update. This is not on you. You've done everything right. She has the freedom to make her own choices, and the office respects her lifestyle choices. No one is going to go up to her and demand she start eating meat. It's her problem. She can't extend the same courtesy to you and the rest of the office, so let her face the consequences. Maybe this jarring event will slap her awake to what a knucklehead she's being.
If anything, it'll probably like galvanize her victim mentality.
We got an update. That is the ultimate vegan right there. And again, this is not all vegans. I think as one of the commenters said, in your early veganism journey, like you want to have this this evangelism, like you're excited, you want to tell everyone, but often it's a misplaced way to get people to support the vegan cause. But we got an update. So the meeting happened on Friday. HR lady was very much let's all get along type and very enthusiastic and eager to mediate with buzzwords, talk about feelings. HR contacted me and I told them to get Vegan's perspective first so that she wouldn't complain not getting a chance to get her point of view. So Vegan, boss, and HR had a meeting. I'm pretty sure Vegan made it seem like she had been bullied, which is pretty much what I was expecting. Then the rest of us were called into a meeting with HR to give our points of view. The coworker, who was a cancer survivor, had gotten progressively more annoyed at what happened after the meeting with Vegan taking off, so I told her she was welcome to take the lead in the meeting because her issues could have had an actual health impact. She took up most of the time actually talking about how Vegan kept giving her unsolicited, medically unsubstantiated advice on cancer treatment and prevention, and HR and boss started looking uncomfortable and concerned. A few other coworkers, like the one with celiac especially, also mention unsolicited advice. I think we're getting to sue territory with this.
Getting into you're making me culturally uncomfortable.
I feel like everyone is just banding together against
Finally.
this. Yeah.
The
A
Avengers.
union against the
hilarious.
vegans, or
the
just one
celiacs,
specific terrible vegan.
yeah.
Then my Peruvian coworker brought up cultural insensitivity. They're hitting them with it all. And the eating your pets comment. And I didn't know Vegan said this to the Hindu coworker, but apparently Vegan had told Hindu that veganism would make him a better Hindu because it eliminated all animal cruelty. A few people started laughing at this. And one coworker joked that Vegan was like the vegan Amway, always selling something that nobody was interested in. So I had been pretty quiet at this point. HR asked me why I had asked Vegan to only speak about work-related matters. And I told her I'm a hunter and explained that I believe in ethical hunting and how it benefited endangered species, etc. But Vegan kept on calling it unaliving, had to dig at me for my leather skirt, even though other people here had leather shoes, leather handbags, and HR injected that her Filofax was real leather. And I told her that talking to Vegan was stressful and demoralizing, and she'd refused to respect my boundaries when I asked her on other occasions to keep things work-related. All right, so now everyone's had their sides. The vegan has said, I feel not included. OP and the others say, well, we're not including her because every chance she gets, she literally tries to put her vegan perspective down our throat, saying we're and you would be a better Hindu if you did not eat meat or dairy products.
Vegan.
But the mediation began, and Vegan was brought in and other coworkers left. I basically said exactly what I'd said before to Vegan with HR and boss there, that I respected her lifestyle and how passionate she was about making a change, but I disagreed with her on certain points, and even if she didn't agree with my lifestyle choices, it was unfair of her to single me out or harass me about them. Vegan said to her what I was doing was morally unconscionable, and she didn't believe in exploiting animals. I told her that her iPhone, her clothes, her computer were all produced via human exploitation.
Right.
And the quinoa that she loves so much has affected local income farmers in Bolivia. I then qualified. I told her it was great that she had her thing to try and improve the world, but also had a different perspective and different issues that I was more passionate about, and that I had respected her point of view and she should try to respect mine. Vegan's response to all of this was, it's still unaliving. HR looked annoyed at this point and said that Vegan was not trying to find a middle ground. So I turned to HR and said that this was why there was no middle ground. And that's why I thought keeping things civil and work related, because in the end, we are here to do a job. HR agreed. Boss agreed. I agreed. Vegan grudgingly agreed. And HR wrote all this down, and I had a mediation meeting minutes saying all of this emailed to the four of us. Anyway, boss called us into the meeting around lunch and said it was good that we were able to talk about things outside of work because it's good team bonding, but it had come to his attention that there was unsolicited health advice and cultural sensitivity issues in the team. We'd be discussing that in our next team meeting, and we had a productive session, but needed to focus on work and keep our spirits up. Vegan had a meeting with boss after that and then went home early. We had come in on Saturday, and today, end of month stuff. This happens when the end of the month falls on a weekend. I'm in finance, but we get time in lieu. By the way, what you should always have time for is listening to full episodes of OK Storytime wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or one of the other ones. Just look up OK Storytime in that little search bar.
Just give it a little Google.
I just gave Vegan a cheerful good morning to which she didn't respond. And then she just handed me a file and said she was leaving. I just said, thank you for your work today and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Vegan kind of just grunted at me and left. I'm going to keep it civil like HR said, and Vegan can dig her own hole. I still feel a bit sorry for her. I still think she feels attacked, but at least it got her off my back for the time being. And we do have some relevant comments that OP may have responded to. So comment 1, her behavior has nothing to do with being vegan and 100% to do with being an obtuse witch. You handle this really well. Comment 2, I'm going to take this opportunity to tell you, OP, stop being overly cheerful to Vegan after the HR mediation. She could very well feel like you're rubbing it in her face that you got what you wanted and she didn't. And OP responds, I'm not overly cheerful, but I am the sort of person that says good morning to people on my way to my desk. It'd be odd if I didn't have some form of pleasantries. Besides, I'm pretty sure my boss will be keeping an eye on our interactions. And that is where that Vegan story ends.
It's over.
It's over.
It's over.
It's
Man.
over, Anakin.
I forbade my fiance to go to dinner with her boss. She got furious.
That was her.
I'm basically at the point of breaking off my relationship with my fiance. Whoa. Because I'm so frustrated by this whole thing.
Damn.
I guess the question is among my last salvos to see if I'm being an a-hole and unreasonable, or if the problem is on her end. By the way, this comes from Am I the A-hole John, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, been with fiance for several years now. She recently graduated and got an amazing HR job with a pretty high profile. We get your DUI charges dropped type law firm. The guy who started the firm is known across as being an ambulance shyster, and scammer because, very frankly, he's trying to portray that in his commercials. I've met him a couple of times, and in person, he's a little better, but I still feel kind of like I need a shower. So, right after New Year's, wife came home and announced that Lawyer Dude is taking the whole staff out to celebrate on January 20th because it was the firm's biggest years ever. This is the timeline as near as I can remember. January 5th, she tells me to keep January 20th open because SOs are invited. Cool, I can do that. January 8th, sorry, she was mistaken. It's just a work party. She tells me it's cool if I make other plans that night, no problem. January 13th, she lets it slip. It's not really a party for the whole office, just for the people boss think were part of the success. I'm starting to get a little WTF-y here. January 14th, miraculously, all the people going to dinner with the boss are under the age of 30 and female. Now alarm bells are really going off. January 18th, the list is down to 2 people, my wife and another new attorney. So if I'm hearing this correctly, the 2 people mainly responsible for this 20-year-old company's biggest year ever are both recent college grads, both female and both around 25. Fiance says, aren't you proud of me? Today, the big day, the boss texts her at like 11 a.m. and says, hey, since this is supposed to be a celebration, don't drive. I'll send a car service for you. Fiance still doesn't smell anything fishy, so I ask her, just for my own edification, to ask what he says if she tells him, that's a great offer, but my fiance knows the restaurant and he can drive me. Boss replies back in seconds, sorry, I had to change restaurants at the last minute. I'll send the car. My fiance looks at me, apparently without the screeching submarine klaxon and Klieg lights that are going off in my head, and says, see, it's all cool. I'll just take the car service. I'm freaking the F out. I told her that she can't go. She called me a controlling a-hole. I told her that the whole thing has been shady as F, and I relayed out the timeline I just posted above, using my texts and emails from her as evidence. She said that's me hoarding evidence, like this is an example of how I'm a controlling a-hole, and she wants to go to dinner tomorrow more than ever. I told her I might be an a-hole, but I'm not stupid. She told me over and over again, he's married, he can't do anything that would affect his marriage, so you're being the stupid one. That leads me to believe that even she understands the larger implications that are at play here. She locked herself in our bedroom and hasn't come out for at least an hour.
She's like, he's married.
Exactly. I think that, I mean, like, she's definitely naive. Like, that's a fault, but like,
Damn.
I think she might just be naive.
That's so naive, though.
I know.
To be
I
like,
agree.
well, he's married and no one's ever cheated on their spouse
I
ever.
agree. I don't know what to do. I can't beat the door down or yell at her. And I think if this is one of those situations where the shoe is on the other foot, she'd be freaking the F out, and I see her reaction and just call it off. Am I the a-hole? And there is an edit. It's 5:30 here. The car service picked her up at 5:15. I guess it's up to fate now whether I'm controlling a-hole or if she just didn't see whatever was coming. And edit 2, she just got home and only said, I don't want to effing talk about it. She's back talking to who I assume is her sister. I'm defying my every desire to eavesdrop, so I don't know what happened. It's only 8:45, so I don't think anything super crazy happened. I'm just glad she's home. If it's appropriate, I'll update again when I know more.
Well, it looks like she figured it out.
But do you think that she went into it knowing? Does it seem like you?
No, I think she did go into it being like, no one, he just won't accept that I'm just like the best worker
that's
ever,
what
and that I'm so cool, and my boss wants to give me $1 million because I'm just cool.
Yeah, I think that she was so defensive and being naive.
Yeah, dude.
And then she went there and probably he hit on her and she was like,
Sometimes bosses are like that, but no, I don't in this case. I don't think so.
Sometimes, yeah, but
Yeah, like there's very rare like the bosses are like really cool and they do like I'll like it's gonna be like a team dinner or like it's a raise, or like you know what, happy birthday or happy holiday, something like that.
I honestly think that if OP had, like, I'm not blaming it on OP, but I do think that if he had approached the conversation with her differently, of like less emphasizing that she was being stupid, and again, it's not his fault because like she was being.
I don't know
naive.
of any level of to be naive enough to be like he's married. There's nothing that could happen because he's married.
Absolutely,
That's
absolutely, but it is
absurd. That's crazy.
But
That's
also
delusion.
just like,
That's not
yes.
even naivety. That's you're being you're deluded.
I think it would have probably been a more effective conversation if he had been like, let's focus on your safety rather than you're stupid. He's trying to hook up with you. Another edit. This really doesn't pertain to Am I the A-hole anymore. Just people asking for an update. She gets to dinner and it's just her, a coworker, and her boss in a private dining room at a hotel. The boss straight up says he's banging another girl and wants my fiancé to join them.
Oh, congratulations. You've earned the quarterly reward.
Also,
It's-
I feel so sad for
Yeah.
this woman.
No, it sucks.
I feel so like this literally like hurts my heart. He has an understanding with his wife and says he can do amazing things for my fiance. She's pissed she didn't see this coming, but she's still mad at me for being controlling. She's not happy at all and is talking about breaking up. Sucks all around, but I'm relieved she's safe. Just giving her some space for a while. And there is an update.
If she breaks up for you for this, that's the most ridiculous thing I've
I
ever
think
heard in
that
my
this
life.
was all just like the conversation was not had in an effective way. Update. Fair enough. She didn't speak to me all day Monday, and the last words I heard from her were Sunday night after she got home. She slammed the door to our bedroom saying, "You're still a controlling a-hole and we're breaking up." Wow. Her nuclear bomb is always saying we're breaking up whenever she doesn't have the upper hand in an argument, so I didn't make much of it.
Leave this
That's
relationship,
that's
my
unhealthy.
guy.
That's unhealthy. That's
Get
not
out
good.
of there. Get out.
In reality, I was just relieved that she was home and apparently nothing bad happened at the dinner. So like I said, Monday she didn't say a word to me. I was only able to get into our bedroom to grab some clothes, and I couched it again Monday night. Whatever, she was pissed. She was embarrassed that she didn't see it coming, and she was angry at me. I figured I'd give her some space, so I did. Tuesday morning, I noticed she was getting ready for work. I couldn't keep my mouth shut any longer and incredulously asked if she was really going back to that effing job. She said, "Why wouldn't I?" I told her because the effing owner of the company had spent a month manipulating her into a threesome with his other little side piece. She said I was an effing idiot. I was flabbergasted.
Is this law? Because that makes sense. Your girlfriend is a cutthroat, and she will stop at nothing to attain more levels of power and prestige. She's a lawyer. If anything, she's probably more mad that you're together so that she couldn't have like manipulated that opportunity in her favor somehow.
I don't agree with that.
I mean,
I don't think
I'm
that's
not
necessarily-
condoning the boss's actions. I'm just saying I didn't realize this whole time. I saw
Yeah.
a comment that said
Yeah.
something about lawyers.
I think that
The fact
OP
that she's a lawyer is like a lot of that makes sense to me. Just because of lawyers, not because she's a woman or a man or anything.
I think that like separate from this, I think they should break up because clearly the communication is just so like not there. And her being like, "Oh, I'm breaking up," and OP being like, "Oh, she always says that." That's messed up. As she stomped around the house, putting on her shoes and makeup, I told her that if she showed up to the office today and didn't quit or follow up with the state bar, he would know that she was okay with what happened, at least on the surface. Even if she didn't have spicy sleep with him, he now knew that she had a really high tolerance for his BS and he was going to keep working at her. I also reminded her that she had an MBA with a focus in HR and it shouldn't take an effing redneck auto mechanic to tell her this crap. I own a foreign specialty auto repair facility with my uncle. Her last words to me were, yes, effing a-hole, I am the professional, you aren't. And she slammed the door. So Tuesday, I had no idea what I was going to do. I knew in my heart I needed to end the relationship. Her situation with her boss, notwithstanding, her methods of fighting, name-calling, silent treatment were just not acceptable. But I still wasn't sure. From her standpoint, a lot of women don't leave those situations or even, I mean, that was the whole Me Too movement. Like a lot of women will not talk about the situations that happen with people in positions of power because they don't want to get fired. They don't want to get blacklisted from things.
Well, it's like it's really easy to have a moral stance when there's like no actual stakes for you, but it's like in this case, it's like
there are
she's going to lose her job, she's going to lose her reputation,
her
she's going to lose her. Yeah, it's like
I mean,
so
people
sure,
could go around and say, "Oh, well, she was just a pretty face. He just wanted to F her." But on the other side of the relationship, I completely agree. She's bad at communicating. She's blaming OP for all of this thing, the name calling, the telling him that they're going to break up. Relationship is clearly not working
at all. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like that those are kind of separate.
Anytime you have a case where your partner is like using, we're gonna just break up, like in an argument, because like that's listen to them, listen to them and break up with them.
Yeah, I agree. She got home Tuesday and was clearly rattled by something. She was still silent, but it was a sad silent, not an angry silent, if that makes sense. She absolutely would not tell me what was wrong, but she didn't lock herself in the room this time. She sat almost catatonic on the couch watching Big Bang Theory, which she hates. My assumption, she effed him, her, or both. She gave in to him. I have no proof of this, but after all the BS, after the quick change in her behavior, it's the only thing I can think happened. In my head and heart, we are broken up. It's not just a matter of separating our crap, figuring out what to do with the lease on our apartment, canceling the small amount of wedding planning we've done, and telling her. She may be feeling the same way and be done with me too, which honestly may make this easier for everyone.
Brother, she said that she was done with you.
Yeah, she said she was breaking out with you. My heart goes out to her because I do care about her, and if she did have spicy sleep with her boss under his BS pretense, I imagine she feels like crap. But I tried to warn her. I saw it coming from a mile away. No, I didn't use the correct words in trying to warn her, and I take no pleasure in being right, but I did try. An edit. She's home about 2.5 hours early. She said she wants to take a shower and talk after she's done. I really don't want to do another update, but I will. Obviously, this is so much past whether I'm an a-hole or not, and just into keeping people who wanted to know informed. For some people, I'm a victim. For others, I'm a victimizer. I asked for people's opinions, so I will try very hard to keep both in mind going forward. A sincere thank you for your input. So, update. She got home at 3:30. She was still very pissy and told me not to ask her any questions until she got out of the shower and said she wanted to talk then. She usually gets home at 6 p.m. on the dot, so I knew something was up. I said that was fine, but was literally on pins and needles until she came back to our computer room where I was working. Around 4:15, she comes out with a towel wrapped around her head and just one around her waist. In my head, I figured if she was really breaking up with me, she wouldn't let me see her unclothed. It wasn't a spicy-related gesture by any stretch, but it also showed that she wasn't covering up around me. I took that as a good sign because I wasn't sure about breaking up with her. As nutty as I made her deservedly sound, she has never had compunctions about apologizing when she's wrong. She said she wanted to say she was very sorry for all the things she had said to me starting on Sunday. She was sorry for throwing her shoe at me. Oh, yikes. For the silent treatment and for doubting my judgment. I told her that I appreciated it. She told me that she quit yesterday. I told her that I very much agreed with that. She explained that yesterday she went into the office and the boss and owner was waiting for her in her office. I just also want to say, I feel like OP did really jump to conclusions about her screwing her boss.
It was probably more just like now I really do have to reanalyze like what I actually even want out of this job and what I want out of this life.
Yeah, I felt like that was a pretty
like,
unfair jump, and it's clearly.
But it's, again, just another great indicator that this relationship's
not
not working and y'all
Clearly
need
not.
to split.
The law firm is an old converted historic house near downtown. Most of the staff work in what used to be the main house, but my fiance's office was literally the outdoor shed garage. It's a very nice and comfortable conversion, but it's still separated from the main house. So him sitting in her office means he had to go out into the backyard, find a key he doesn't usually have, unlock her space, and wait for her on the first day back from a holiday. He told her he wanted to make sure there were no misunderstandings from the night prior, and to ensure that all the doors weren't shut or some such nonsense. She told him that she was deeply upset by his proposal and didn't know what she was going to do. I guess he told her that her value in the company could either go up or down depending on how she decided to proceed.
Yeah, well, and then that walking out after that, that's the right move. You can't. Now you're a hostage after that point. Like,
She said that she walked out on the spot and didn't go back to work. She spent the rest of the day with her sister trying to figure out what she was going to do. That was yesterday, and I guess she still doesn't know. She spent all day today looking for other jobs and sitting in the employment office of her MBA program talking with her advisor. I asked her why she didn't just tell me any of this yesterday and why she screamed at me. She said she was sorry again, but she was a little shell-shocked that she faced serious spicy-related harassment in her first job out of the gate, and honestly didn't even know what she wanted to say to me. I told her that the silent treatment really hurt and allowed my imagination to run wild. I didn't tell her what I said here, though. She apologized again, saying the way she acted throughout the entire event wasn't fair. I told her that I really do love her, but I hadn't slept in 2 nights. I was exhausted, hurt, and didn't know what to do. So I was going to stay at my uncle's house for at least a few nights to sleep, if nothing else. She said that was fine, and that she'd wait as long as I wanted her to. I told her that I think we need counseling so we can learn how to talk to each other better. She agreed. So after that, I packed up a bag and am now at my uncle's house. She did give me a bare-chested hug and a kiss on my cheek on my way out the door, which was pretty nice. But right now, I need some sleep. What I do know, I want to stay with her. I need to never use words like, you can't go ever again. I do agree with that. I feel like you could have, again, I think it was phrasing too, in part. Again, she did not react well, but I think also you can't be like, you can't do that. I think I worry that this will happen if you go there. I really do love her. We are fine for money without her working. I am co-owner of an auto repair business with my uncle, and we have a great few years, and we have had a great few years. What I don't know, and didn't ask yet at least, what is she going to do about her boss? How this affects her future employment? That she will realize we are fine without her working and that she can take her time finding a good job with a good boss. But you know what is always good? Listening to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to this story. I don't know if the relationship will work, but I do think that counseling is a necessity regardless.
it's just not working out, man.
Yeah.
That's all that is.
Yeah.
It's just not working out.
I'm sure there are a million other things I'm forgetting or questions I'm not answering. I think the mods are sick on this thread. In comments, comment 1, her nuclear bomb is always saying we're breaking up whenever she doesn't have the upper hand in an argument. Not really here to make judgments, but this is a really huge red flag that your wife is manipulative. And actually, it's fiancé. She's threatening you to throw away years of relationship over an argument and tries to guilt trip you into backing off. This can't be healthy. Agreed. My ex did something similar and broke up with me over one single argument, which makes me realize how damaging and toxic her behavior was. Edit, I read the update again, and holy crap, it gets worse. I'm a professional and you aren't. You're an effing idiot. Your wife is egotistical, way in her head, and is definitely on a power trip. This wife of yours doesn't care what you think and is openly attacking and disrespecting not only you, but also your uncle and the business that you have. To call you not a professional is laughable. You will become a doormat and let her walk all over you if you don't do something about it. You are definitely not the a-hole. You may be blunt, but your argument is well-founded. Comment 2, you're the a-hole. Before, everyone sucks here, absolutely. But now, you don't know that she slept with him. He could have hurt her. Or any number of things could have happened, and just assuming she slept with him makes you the a-hole in a big way. Also demanding she not go back to her job, that's quite a butt move too. Just quitting a job without notice can have major consequences, and if that guy is willing to sleep with his subordinates in that manner, you better believe he's capable and probably willing to ruin their lives if they try to say anything. I doubt this is the first time he's done this. Instead of demanding she quit, maybe you should have talked to her and asked her if she felt safe, made a plan if he tried to retaliate. I know she was mad at you, rightfully so, but think how it felt to be her. Thinking she was getting rewarded for a job well done and then getting harassed because that is exactly what that dinner was.
But I feel like that comment ignores her entire personality in the way that
I
she's
agree.
been interacting with OP.
I think that there's truth in many elements of these comments, but I think that to say one way or the other that OP is an a-hole or she's an a-hole
I just
is to disregard the the entirety of this story.
My hypothesis would be like if he does go to her and is like, I'm looking out for, I'm caring for you, I'm doing this. She'd be like, ew, gross, you're a weak man, or like, and also stop trying to control me, I'm fine.
Would you
like
chase that? Yeah, that's a problem.
Probably how she would have been.
OP says, I never once demanded that she quit. I said I was incredulous that she was going back to a job where the owner of the company pulled a month-long con on her that resulted in him saying openly that he wanted to F her. She is supposed to be the HR professional that people can come talk to when something like this happens. Now, by tacitly going along with it and not even calling him out, her professional integrity is forever compromised as long as she stays at this law firm. She can't be trusted. She can't confront him. She can't be the ethical voice of reason against someone we know is a sleazebag. He forever has dirt on her. Even with that, I didn't demand she quit her job. And that is the end of that story. I think that was just a complicated story all around, but at the end of the day, I just don't know if you guys are right for each other.
No, clearly not. Yeah, you should be with a girl who likes cars,
What?
not a lawyer. Get with a
cars?
get with a mechanic chick. Well, that's the lesson here is don't be a lawyer.
I accidentally discovered my mother-in-law's affair, and I can't keep quiet about it.
You know, accidents do happen.
I work at my husband's family business that builds custom homes. I met my mother-in-law when she came into the design firm I worked at to pick out some options for a client. She and I hit it off, and after she'd come in a few times, she set me up with her son. By the way, this comes from Instruction Timely 640, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, fast forward 7 years, and I coordinate all the builds and consult with clients on design for the 50-plus-year-old family business. My mother-in-law is technically my boss, but we operate a lot like equals, and she's been taking some steps back. She and I have always gotten along great, and she has felt like the mother I never got to have growing up. So, last Friday, I was packing up to go home and was on the phone with my husband before he got a flight for an annual weekend away with friends. I was distracted and accidentally grabbed my mother-in-law's computer instead of mine.
How do you accidentally do that?
She was like, I don't know, they look the same.
How do you
And
do
then
that?
I accidentally hacked into her computer, all pure accident. I didn't realize it until I was home and went to look up some fixtures for a project in her house. Once I knew, I texted her to let her know, to which she said, no worries. She was unplugging this weekend anyway and told me to do whatever I needed on it. I was just browsing and unintentionally clicked on a linked email on a store's contact page. And as a lot of Apple users know, that will usually pop up to send an email using your default mail app. I closed the draft, and when I went to close her email app, I saw an email from a recently hired apprentice titled Our Weekend Getaway Itinerary. I froze. I realized this was her personal email, and I couldn't help myself but to click on it. I found both explicit and romantic messages between this 22-year-old male apprentice and my married 47-year-old mother-in-law and boss. I slammed the computer shut and just went to bed, staring at the ceiling for quite a while. I mean, what do you do?
Just imagine just
No, what have I done? My husband was gone all weekend and only got home today. I have been spiraling all weekend on how to handle this. I certainly wasn't going to bring it up to my husband while he was gone, but I went to the office and had to see my mother-in-law yesterday. I could barely keep my composure. I found every excuse to lock myself away in my office and be busy. Now my husband is back and I'm wondering what to do. Do I tell him? How do I even do that? Do I go to his mom and confront her? Do I go to his dad and tell him? Help. And there are some comments and an update, but what do you think Opie should do?
this is between you and your mother-in-law for now.
Mm-hmm.
For now, you found you gotta confront her and be like, what is this, and then have her come clean.
Yeah,
this is her mess. You don't want to make things messier than it should. I did see that comment there, which I was going to say anyway. You need proof.
Yeah,
you need that. You can't just
well,
jump
she's got
there.
all the emails.
I know.
She has the computer.
Well, you never know when they can delete it. That she could have deleted it. Who knows? Or hide it somewhere else. So you yourself need to, need
Take
the
pictures
proof.
of that.
Accidentally stumble on the proof again.
Yeah, or like take pictures, screenshots and stuff.
Something like that. Or record.
Yeah.
Or record. I know that's like one of the stickier ones, but record you confronting her, and if she admits it, here you go.
Yeah. Comment says, if you're going to tell your husband, bring proof.
Right.
Reply says, screenshot everything. If you're tech savvy enough, screenshot on the laptop, open a private browser to email them to yourself, delete the screenshots, and delete them from the trash. Otherwise, just use your phone to take pics. Tell your husband. He's going to know something is off with you, and you'll worry yourself sick if you don't tell him. Is there a chance your mother-in-law and father-in-law have an open relationship? Your options would be to hire a private detective or inform the mother-in-law and get her to come clean, or inform the father-in-law so he can decide how to move forward, or do nothing. OP says there's no chance they have an open relationship. My father-in-law was cheated on in a serious relationship with someone he thought he would marry, and it crushed him. He has always preached loyalty and monogamy in relationships to my husband since he was a teen. A reply says, if you admit to seeing it, accident or not, she's going to say you snooped and get mad at you. Shut the F up, act like I know nothing about anything I haven't been told about, and be surprised when someone says something. You know nothing. Swallow it like an adult, or risk being the one who blew it all up.
Who is that?
I disagree so
That's a
strongly with
terrible
this comment.
comment.
You didn't, their actions did, but they could blame you. I've been in both positions before and trust the truth will come out, but it doesn't have to be through you. Not saying keep a known secret, but you weren't supposed to have the computer or click on personal stuff. Accident or not, to her, you snooped. I totally would want to do the right thing and let them know, but you can say stuff to her to sway her without letting everyone know you saw what you did. Like, hey, I know he knows you're married, but have you seen how he looks at you? Is that appropriate? Or whatever fits if you notice something inappropriate that maybe before you chalked it up to being a small business or whatever. That's a tough choice though. Good luck in whichever way you choose. And another reply that says, frankly, I would ignore it. It's none of your business, even if she is your mother-in-law.
What are these comments?
Who are these people?
You guys are supporting cheating?
God.
It seems like you guys support cheating.
This is crazy. It does seem like that. I mean, like, yeah, it's not OP's fault or anything, but it's her mother-in-law who she has like a really close relationship to, and also her husband.
Yeah,
Her
this
husband's
is,
mom. Like,
yeah, this is something you don't keep under wraps for very long.
that's also how, betrayed would the husband feel if he found out that she knew. You say there's no way they have an open relationship, but you can't know what goes on between them, so ignore it. It's not your responsibility to tell anyone. I so strongly disagree. Compartmentalize work from family and forget you even saw it. How do you do that?
How do you real?
you don't just have like a forget switch.
Did you not hear what OP said? Like, I can barely like look at her.
That's insane. That's a terrible comment.
Everyone knows I'm going to be off.
Two back-to-back bad comments.
Boo.
Also, what if your positions were reversed and you were in her position? Again, none of your business.
What is that comment?
Those are stupid comments.
Those are stupid comments. Those people definitely support cheating.
Yeah. Yikes. Wow. There is an update.
Usually we don't get many stupid comments. But
Yeah, those
are,
were like 3 back-to-back stupid comments that I just wholeheartedly disagree with.
You snooped, it's your fault.
Yeah.
Like,
What?
I'm sorry that someone got caught cheating.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I caught them cheating. What?
No, honestly, I feel like, in my opinion, your choices are either talk to your husband or talk to your mother-in-law.
Go to the source. Talk
Yeah.
to your mother-in-law and be like, you come out with this, like, I know
Or
what's going on.
I go tell my husband. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I know what's going on. Tell me what's going on, and then we go from there.
I shouldn't have been surprised by the amount of people who told me to keep it to myself and that I was in the wrong for snooping.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah, I shouldn't have opened the email, but I did, so here we are. And here's an update. My husband knew something was wrong after he got home. He can read me like a book. I mean, yeah, like, how do you even keep that a secret?
Yeah, everyone's like, keep it a secret.
I told him I found out something I shouldn't have and told him everything. He was mortified, but as someone said, he's glad I told him because keeping it from him would have been worse. He knew more about that apprentice than I did. He was the son of a family friend, and she's known him since he was a teenager. Oh,
Weirdo.
That's really bad. That sounds like grooming. That's messed up.
We don't like grooming.
Hiring him was a favor to said friend. My husband said he wanted to take him from there, which he did. He went snooping on his own. The computer is company property and he has ownership in it as well and can log in remotely at any time. He took screenshots of emails going back with the apprentice over a year before he worked here. Then he found ones with someone else that were 2 years old. He also found records of a second phone and hotel reservations. With all that, he took it to his dad. I don't know how that conversation went, but I do know that they went to get him tested. To add insult to his injury, he tested positive.
To all those people who said, don't tell or keep it
Yeah.
a secret.
Like, this is why you do tell,
I would
because
love to know.
people can get STDs.
Yeah.
There are so many different things, like health concerns.
I want to know
play
your
here,
reasoning here.
you
Your
know-
reasoning's like, don't tell, it's not your business.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous to not inform people about cheating when you know about it.
Yeah.
Because, like, things like this where people can get, diseases.
Not just
And
the
infections.
the emotional hurt, but the
Yeah.
actual physical
like the
hurt.
physical problems that can happen. My father-in-law joined us for dinner instead of going home, and we talked for quite a while. He was like a heartbroken teenager. He had no idea what was happening, but years ago, he had suspicions of her talking to other men. He didn't have any proof, though, and they dropped it after a brief fight. But now, with undeniable proof of multiple affairs, he said it's over. He also has a pretty airtight prenup that should make it a pretty easy divorce on paper. The family business is on his side, and in the case of infidelity, she forfeits all ownership of the business and the house they built together. So I'm sorry to break it to you, but coming clean didn't destroy my marriage or my career.
Also, great prenup.
Yeah. I told my husband
Wow.
mostly because we don't keep secrets from each other. It's a foundation of our marriage. But it's almost like reasonable adults put blame only where it's deserved, on the cheater. My father-in-law is pissed and simultaneously devastated and plans to get his ducks in a row before serving her with papers. And update 2, my father-in-law did end up confronting my mother-in-law shortly after my post. He brought the proof that my husband found, his positive STI results, a copy of their prenup, and the divorce papers. From what he told us when he came over for dinner after, he was calm and just laid it out all on the table, literally. She obviously knew she was caught and just asked how he found out. He said it wasn't important and outlined what the next steps would look like. He was willing to make some concessions on their prenup if she would come clean about everything and step down quietly from the family business, presumably.
Yeah. In the prenup.
I think he was so hurt by it all, and he loved her so much that he just wanted this to be done and over, and he did still want to care for her. She fought for a bit but relented, so the divorce should go smoothly. She stepped down willingly from the business and moved out, but he did offer spousal support and their vacation home, which she moved into, both things that were not included in the prenup. But you know what is included with us? Full episodes just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up Okie Storytime.
Easy.
But there is a wee bit left to the story. Do you have any final thoughts?
Crazy that through all the muck and the vial here, he gave her a vacation home.
Yeah, like still being very kind.
Also, he must have a lot of money to just be like, you can have the vacation.
I think so. I think they presumably
feel
the
bad.
family business seems like it's pretty successful.
I'm sorry, if I found someone cheating on me, they're not getting anything.
They're not getting nothing. My father-in-law has spent a lot of time at our house or going out with my husband, golfing or hiking. He's heartbroken and worried that it's all going a little too smooth, that she will suddenly change her attitude. But I personally think she knows she got caught and messed up past any fixing it. I'm struggling to come to terms with that version of her versus the one I got to know and love, but there's nothing I can do but be there for my father-in-law and husband. The two are really leaning on each other, which is heartwarming for me to see. She reached out to me to apologize for putting me in the position and hopes we can still have a relationship. So at some point she found out that he found out from me. I told her, not right now, but I don't know what will happen in the future. My husband is my number one priority right now. And that is the end of that story. I was spotted having lunch with a coworker. My wife is furious.
Have divorce for dessert.
First of all, my workplace has 3 floors. One floor has an even-ish number of guys and girls. The other 2 have mainly women. This new girl, Alice, joined a few months ago. I didn't really know a whole lot about her, but we have hung out in a few Friday evenings after work drinking sessions. Not a whole lot of interaction prior to that. We just chat on occasion when we see each other at work, or if she has to come to the floor I work on, or I have to go down there. By the way, this comes from Throwaway Just Got Food, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/Okie Storytime subreddit. So, she is aware I am married. They met briefly at a company event shortly after Alice started working there. This was when I really first got introduced to her. Hell, most everyone here knows I'm married. 2 pictures on my desk are my family. Anyway, the other day I was heading to lunch when Alice asked me to grab some lunch with her because she needed some advice. I said no problem. We went to lunch. There's a food court a couple buildings away, so we went there and I paid for both of us to grab some Thai food. We chatted for a while, then she began asking for advice, which was the purpose of grabbing lunch together. She has a boyfriend. He's into fishing and hiking and rock climbing, that sort of thing. Nice. I like rock climbing too. So am I.
Oh, not me.
I don't like fishing though. Fishing is boring to me.
Oh, ouch.
It's something my brothers and I, as well as our sister, grew up doing. One of the girls on her floor mentioned that I'm into these things and she should ask me because she wanted advice about what kinds of gear to buy him for his birthday. She wanted to buy him a compilation of equipment, some fishing gear, some hiking, some climbing. So we chatted for a while about that, and on her phone, I showed her some supplies she could pick up for him and told her if she needed more help, just ask. Then we went back to work, and that was it. So I came home and forgot all about it. Played with the kids, watched television for a bit, washed the dishes, and that was it. It wasn't really something significant for me, so I didn't mention it. 2 days later, my wife, Karen, asks me where I was for lunch that day. So I told her grabbing lunch with a coworker. She's angry, and I'm pretty surprised as to why. I just told her Alice and I grabbed lunch. She wanted some help picking presents for her boyfriend who has similar interests that I also have. Told her I bought her lunch, we chatted, I showed her some stuff she could buy on her phone, and then we went back to work. I might as well have dug my own grave saying that. She's been absolutely furious the past couple of days, throwing scathing comments and that sort of thing. I'm pretty hurt. I don't see what I did wrong. Maybe not telling her immediately was wrong, I guess, but I didn't do anything with ill intent toward her or our marriage, so it just didn't bother me. It also didn't help that her friend saw us at the food court eating lunch, which was who she heard it from. Now, the thing about Alice, she's younger than Karen by 11 years and is a typically attractive girl, perky and fairly cheerful. Perky's a weird word.
That's not the word to use, my
buddy,
guy.
buddy. Quite a few guys hit on her when we're at those after work drinking sessions, so I guess this is a factor. Because on Saturday, when I asked my wife if she wanted to grab some dinner, I got a very sullen, maybe you should get lunch with Alice, in response.
You and Alice, don't climb a rock.
Another time she did mention maybe you just want a younger woman or something. I don't. I love my life. I love my marriage. I'm a faithful man. I don't think what I did was wrong. I get her hearing it from a friend made it sound much worse than it really was. Yes, Alice is attractive and younger, but that doesn't matter to me. However, it seems to bother my wife a lot. Was I really wrong here? How can I address this situation and edit since this is apparently so important? Yes, I paid for my coworker's lunch. I did it to break a $100 bill and she did in fact repay me immediately after. Okay,
Still
so
legal.
OP didn't even pay.
Nope, is the gesture.
Oh my goodness.
And he pulled out a $100 bill to say like, hey, I can take care of you. I am a male provider.
I'm male.
Even though you just paid me back immediately.
I didn't include this because where I'm from, it's pretty common for one person to pay for everyone's food if everyone is buying from the same place. Then everyone else just reimburses the cash afterward. Hope this clears up stuff a little. That's what I do. That's what we always do.
It's legal.
Little Venmo after situation. I didn't think it would be such a huge issue. Edit 2. Also, yes, I have had lunch with coworkers before, sometimes in groups, sometimes just one-on-one. Sometimes they're with guys and sometimes they're with female coworkers. This has never been an issue before, which is also why I didn't mention it. It wasn't important and it's not something that's bothered my wife before. Just thought I'd put that in as well. And there are some comments, but do you have any of your own comments? Because I sure do.
I got an ICU.
What's your ICU?
I think maybe old wifey over there has been seeing a coworker of her own.
Oh, you think a little bit of projectionist.
Oh, like a classroom in the early 2000s.
That's true.
They
That's
had
true.
projectors.
That's true. Yeah, no, I got it.
We were there.
Did you guys ever have the smart board?
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
too old for
Shout out
that.
to that.
Common one, it sounds to me like her friend who spotted you has given her a danging description of what you were up to, which is coloring her reaction. Probably less, oh, I saw your husband having lunch with some woman the other day, and more like, hey, I saw your husband at lunch with some hot young girl the other day. They looked pretty friendly. That's what I'm thinking. It sounds like your wife is also possibly a bit insecure. I mean, the fact that she's saying like, oh, you want a younger woman? Is that what you want?
Yeah.
Whereas men have the stereotype of getting more attractive with age, women are often seen as past their best once they hit a certain point. She may be feeling sensitive about her own appearance and declining youth, so hearing that you got lunch with someone much younger likely prodded an already sore spot for her. I was thinking about that today. It's really messed up that like all these men, they're like, oh, a silver fox, and every women are like either too much Botox. The commentary is either too much Botox, they look old. You can't win.
Guys.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Giving women insecurities because then they accuse their husbands of cheating on them.
Can I tell you something? Men are ugly.
Men are ugly. Wait, that's not the takeaway.
Yes, it is.
No.
Yeah, I said it and I meant it. I'm not taking it back.
Wait, John, are we ugly?
Not us.
Not us.
Okay.
The
Not
other
you
men.
guys.
So the other guys.
Yeah.
The other men. I'm going to say more of the story.
Yes.
I would sit down with her and try to get her to open up about why she's reacting like this. Does she feel secure in the marriage? Is she genuinely worried that she might be looking elsewhere? Or was she just embarrassed that a friend thought you were up to no good? Whatever it is, it helped to find the root of why she feels like this so you can work it out with her. And comment 2, did you ask her why she was asking? It seems a bit odd to ask days later. I personally don't think you did anything wrong. I imagine you would have told her if she had asked you that evening how your day was. But I wonder if a friend or colleague of hers saw you two together, gave her a heads up, and she's embarrassed for one reason or another. And we already know that the friend did. OP, another comment says, you seem like a very nice guy, but perhaps a bit oblivious.
Ooh.
Your wife's friend saw you with a younger woman, mentioned it to your wife because you never said a word to her about it. Again, a valid mistake. And also, I think it happened like day of. I think like OP got home and his wife was like, what'd you get up to today? And he was like, oh, I had lunch with a coworker.
Yeah.
So I don't even think that's like admitting anything. That's just
And I believe OP when he says like, I didn't think I did anything wrong.
yeah.
You know?
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have anything to apologize for. You didn't do anything. Now she looks like a fool in front of her friends, adding on to the fact that she knows exactly who this woman is and has met her before and was already feeling insecure about it. Another time she did mention maybe you just want a younger woman or something. In her mind, I bet she thinks / knows that this friend didn't just mention it to her. She's probably feeling embarrassed because she has to admit to her friend that the two of you don't communicate because she has no idea this was going on. Maybe that's in her mind, is what the commenter's saying. Added on to the fact that you never mentioned it to her. I think this commenter didn't really read OP's post, because I feel like OP mentioned that this all happened in the same day.
Commenter, get it together.
Get it together. I'm not saying what you did was wrong, but looking at it from her perspective, I think will help you moving forward. OP says, I have looked at it from her perspective, but talking to her about the situation has been difficult because she's been pretty aggressive the last few days. Another poster said I should just wait for her to mellow down before talking it out. And there is an update.
Oh.
But I do have one thought. I think this is not at all anywhere near a divorce. Like, we're not in that territory at all.
Or are we?
Whoa.
Are we?
Whoa. John's got a strong ICU there.
No, I'm joking.
But I think that right now, this is just like your wife is clearly dealing with some insecurities. I don't think this is a point where we need to belittle her. She's not doing a good job at communicating, but I think you can go to her and be like, I love you. I don't have eyes for anyone else. I just want to like really affirm that. So it's been a few days since everything happened, and Karen and I have talked things out. One of the first things I asked was why she got so angry about me having lunch with my coworker. The OP and its responses pretty much gave me a solid idea, but I wanted to hear it from her. At first, she said she didn't know. But after a while of not saying anything, she admitted that she'd been having a hard time at work lately. And given that we'd both been busy, plus hearing from her friend that she saw me with some young hot girl laughing at lunch, made me feel like crap. She admitted that she got really insecure and afraid at the thought of me carrying on with a coworker, and the fact that she was younger and that her friend described Alice as hot didn't help at all.
Oh no, she's hot.
She's hot.
Good reference, John.
She said that having kids plus a hard time at work plus gaining a few pounds, nothing significant at all, made her feel threatened at the thought of someone younger who hadn't been through all of that. She said she should have known I'd never do something like that, and that never once in our marriage had I ever given her reason to think that. I told her that once again the reason why Alice and I had lunch that day, and even showed her some of the stuff I showed Alice to purchase for her SO. By the way, I can show you how to listen to full episodes of stories just like this. All you need to go do is go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Stories Time. That's it. I've showed you how. But there is a little bit left to the story. Do you have any final thoughts?
You know what? We communicated.
I love to see a little tiff turns into nothing with a little bit of communication.
This is how you're feeling, this is how I'm feeling. And then, you always, anytime when someone says, you're like, oh, yeah, I get that, you know?
It didn't exactly go back to normal ASAP. But she did apologize for lashing out and not giving me an opportunity to explain myself, as well as not trusting me. Since then, we've had a couple of date nights the past 5 days, left the kids with the sitter, had some dinner, etc., etc. All in all, things are back to normal and are better than before. In other news, Alice mentioned that her boyfriend loves the gear I suggested she buy for him. And comments. Comment 1 says, by the way, your wife's friend sounds to me like a catty witch. I would never say, your SO was out with a young hot chick. I would say, oh, by the way, I saw your SO at lunch yesterday, and then slowly introduce it to prevent automatic suspicion. Part of this was caused by her being a bad friend. I agree. But that is also the end of this story.
Oh.
My husband discovered the truth about me and his boss. He did not take it well.
Uh-oh, the truth is here.
Trigger warning for self-harm. So if you do not want to read about that or hear about that, skip to the next story. My husband hates his boss. I mean, loathes him. And has since he was transferred to his division almost a year ago. He would come home almost every single night complaining about him. By the way, this comes from Peppy Schnapps, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, he works in a very specific creative job, and there are very limited jobs in this area for his field of work. He is paid very well for his job, and if he wanted to stay in the same field, he most likely would have to move halfway across the country, which all of our family and friends are right here, so neither of us want to do that. It had gotten so bad that he was looking at quitting and just taking a cut in pay. I told him I was fine with it, but he spent his entire life studying for this job. So his company had an annual holiday party, and last year we were gone, so we did not attend. This year, however, they had it this past weekend, and lo and behold, we were available to go. This is a very large corporation, so there are literally hundreds of people at the party. When we go in, we start to talk to people, and I go sit down at our table while he goes to meet with some of the people who work in his division who are standing at the bar. While I'm sitting there, I feel a tap on my shoulder, and there stands Paul. Ooh. I have not seen Paul in years, and I immediately got up and we hugged each other. Paul and I used to date in college, and we parted amicably because we were both going separate places in life. But we did date for over a year, and as I said, I hadn't seen him in a long time. So I was thrilled to see him again and catch up on our lives. I have no feelings for him other than that of an old friend, and I just was happy to catch up. We talked for a good long time until he asked me why I was there. And I said I was there with my husband. Yes, you can see where this is going. Paul, my ex, is the boss that my husband hates. He asked who my husband was, and I said his name, and Paul kind of looked stunned and asked if it was the same person he knew, and I said, I didn't know. He said he was the department head of title of job, and that is when it struck me that this was the boss my husband had been complaining about for the past year or so. He just said that he knew my husband and didn't say anything else. We continued to talk for a while, and he said he would love to speak more with me, but he had to go back to his table as he was one of the speakers for the night. We both hugged each other and left. My husband walked up just as we were pulling apart from our very platonic hug. As Paul walked away, my husband asked me what that was all about. I could tell he was very upset, and he asked if Paul was trying to hit on me. He, of course, has no idea we knew each other. He was starting to rant and rave about going to HR to file a complaint on him. I mean, he was fuming mad. I bet he's happy, though. I was kind of stuck because if I didn't step up and say something, I think he would have gone over to the HR table and filed a complaint right there and then. I just told him that we were old friends from college and that we hadn't seen each other since graduation. I think you should have told him the truth. Hopefully you tell him the truth tonight.
But did she not tell him the truth?
No, she just said we were old friends.
Well, yeah, I feel like that is the truth, though.
The truth is that they're exes, though.
Oh.
Yeah.
Didn't catch that.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. They dated for a year in college.
Oh, yeah, that's right. But they split
Yes.
platonically and stuff.
I could see the color drain from his face. We spent the rest of the night with him watching his phone and leaving right after eating. He did not say a word to me on the way home. Once we got home, I tried just to talk in general, and he wasn't having any of it. I got the grilling of a lifetime. I could tell he was completely unhinged. He wanted to know why I didn't tell him I knew him. He went on to accuse me of laughing at him behind his back. This man is crazy.
Yeah, very insecure.
Oh my goodness. He even went so far as to ask me if I was having an affair with him. He hates his boss so much.
He really does.
I mean, he was in a total meltdown. This is not normal for him, in case you're wondering. He's honestly the most rational person I know, and he has never even so much as raised his voice to me in all of the years I've known him. He did eventually apologize to me and then went on to continue to talk about how his life was heck because of his boss. Now, here is the issue. I was absolutely petrified to tell him the real truth about Paul. He was completely irrational, and I was honestly afraid he would have spiraled out of control if I told him that Paul was more than just an old friend, but was actually an ex. I was not afraid for myself, by the way. I've never feared that at all. But I honestly don't know mentally if he could have handled it at that moment. I think he might have done something irrational to himself or our relationship. Honestly, if you think that, you should tell him to get therapy because, whoa.
Yeah.
Like just finding out that his boss used to be his current wife's ex is going to make him spiral out of control.
Yeah. I want to know what this boss did to him.
I know.
Why does he have such beef?
Traumatized. I never hid this relationship from him. Neither of us have ever asked about previous relationships. I only know about one of his previous girlfriends because her sister said hi to him when we were at McDonald's. He knows nothing about any of my previous exes. We both agreed that the past didn't matter. Well, I have a feeling it's going to matter. I am deathly afraid that Paul will say something to him now, not in a mean way, but just in a passing way, that we used to be a couple. I think you need to tell him. Because if he finds
For
out
sure.
from Paul,
Dude,
it's going to be so much worse.
it's so much, like, it's already kind of bad that you didn't tell him that from the start. But at the same time, it's like, it's just going to get worse. So you got to do it.
So much worse. I have no idea how my husband will handle this. He is the love of my life, and I do not want to hurt him. I don't want to hide this from him nor lie by omission, but I am very much afraid what this will do to him mentally. I am open to any suggestions here. Also, please don't think poorly of my husband. He's a great guy and has been more than anything I could have ever dreamed of as a partner, but whatever Paul has done over the years has just made him insane. He needs to quit his job.
Yeah.
Now.
Like, what happened to make
What?
him so incredibly insane like this?
Also, ask him. Be like, dude, what did Paul do to you?
Well, yeah, I
Why
mean,
don't
he
you
probably
know?
she probably knows, but just won't tell us.
Yeah.
But
There are
still.
comments and an update. But what does OP do?
Well, OP definitely starts with the truth
Yeah.
and be like, hey,
Hey.
I know that really threw you for a loop, and I don't want to make things worse, but I should tell you before this gets even worse that, like, yeah, we did date,
Yeah.
but, like, we split so long ago.
So long.
We
ago.
were fine, so that's why we kind of caught up as if we were friends.
Yeah.
You know? I hate that this is the Paul that's
Yeah.
torturing you
Yeah.
at work.
And then you go, he sucks.
He sucks for what he's doing to you
Yeah.
at work. And, like, try to save it for that and be like, I
Yeah.
truly didn't know. And then go to therapy.
And then be like, maybe therapy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Could be good. Common one. This truth will have to come out. You have lied by omission too much already. Encourage him to resign. This place is no good for him. Yeah. Be ready for a reduction in your lifestyle. OP says, to my defense, I only lied by omission out of fear of what it would do to him that night. I mean, he was literally rotating between a raving loon and being so mad he was crying. I've never seen him do that before this, by the way. At the moment, I didn't want to make a bad situation into a disaster, although all along I knew I was going to have to eventually. Was I doing self-preservation as well? Of course. Since we've never talked about exes, I had no idea how the conversation would have gone, but this wasn't just some random ex to my husband. This was the personification of all that is evil in the world. And for me to have to tell him that we used to be a couple was/is not gonna be easy. Does anybody think for a minute I want to lose my husband for something that I did not know / had no control over and was with someone I haven't seen or spoken to for almost 10 years? I know my husband loves me, but I also know that for whatever reason, when it comes to Paul, he is completely unhinged. I am very much afraid he will hurt himself, or heck, he might even try to hurt Paul. But mostly I'm afraid that I'll try and throw away everything we've built together. I know in the long term he would not end us, I hope, but the damage he might do in the short term really frightens me. And there is an update. I really need to know what Paul did.
I need to know.
I need to know.
Hopefully she gives that
Yeah.
to us in this update
It's
for
like,
context.
Paul has been pranking him for years. Update. He came home. I had supper prepared. He was in a fairly good mood, which at first I thought would make this a little easier, but in retrospect, it did not. In fact, it made it worse because I hated seeing the happy look dissolve. After dinner, I took him to the living room and sat him on the couch. I had a pretty lengthy speech prepared. It was a combination of facts and, well, honestly, a list of all the great things about him that I loved knowing that I was going to have to be there to support him. He pretty much cut off my flowery speech and just said to say what I was going to say because whatever I was trying to say obviously was important. So I just said it. I just said, look, I didn't tell you that night because I was very much afraid of how you were going to take this, but Paul and I dated for almost over a year in college. I had no idea he was the Paul you were complaining about. I didn't even know he lived around here. I have not had contact with him prior to the Christmas party for almost 10 years. And even that night, I had no idea who he was in relation to you until just literally moments before you came over. He just sat there for what seemed like forever, and then all he said was, I understand. That was it. It was monotone and passionless. I asked him if he believed me about the time frame and that I did not know who he was that night. He said yes, and that was it.
Oh boy.
So I now go into my speech about how embarrassed I am about all of this, that under no circumstance on the planet would I ever do anything to jeopardize our marriage, that he was my number one focus, and then I started talking about how much I loved him and would do whatever he wanted to do, even if it meant moving or doing something different. While I was talking, he stood up and said that he would like to be alone for a while and that I needed to leave to do this. Like, I start crying. I tell him that if he needed to be alone, that's fine, but I would be happy to leave, and he said no, he wanted to go out to clear his head. He left in his car. I waited for a little bit, not nearly as long as I should have, I'm sure, but I then start texting him, telling him how much he meant to me, telling him that I would answer any question, and well, you can imagine all of the things I texted. He never replied. He left the house somewhere between 7:30 and 8. At 10:30, I received a phone call from a number that I do not know, but I did not want to be tied up, hoping that he might call me. At a little after 11, I saw car lights pull in the driveway, so I was thinking he was back. But then the doorbell rang.
What?
There is no worse feeling on the planet Earth than having 2 state troopers with their hats in hand at your door.
Stop it.
Stop.
No.
We're going to have to put a trigger warning in this. If
Yeah.
this is going where I think it's going.
Oh my gosh.
As soon as I opened the door, I started screaming and crying. One of the troopers told me that my husband had been involved in serious auto accident and that I needed to either go with them to the hospital or have someone take me. He's alive. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
That was so terrifying.
That is insane.
Whoa. Jeez.
Whoa.
This man needs intense therapy.
Yeah.
Intense therapy.
Oh my
goodness
gosh.
gracious.
That is so not where I was expecting this to go.
No. Also, for anyone, just a PSA. A lot of people say, oh, yeah, don't drink and drive. Yeah, obviously. But also, if you're having intense emotions, don't drive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take a minute.
If you're sober.
If you start crying, pull over.
Yeah. You gotta be able to see through those tears.
Yeah. The number
my
I
gosh.
ignored was the ER calling me.
Oh my gosh.
I grabbed my phone and went with them to the hospital. On the way, I called his parents and told them to meet me there. I called my parents to let them know, but they were out of town for a few days, so I left a voice message. I got to the ER and the troopers took me in through a back door as to avoid having to go to a desk. And my heart is about to explode, and they tell a nurse who I am, and she walks over and pulls back a curtain, and there sat my husband in an ER bed. He was awake and held up his arm to show me his cast. I was both relieved and overcome all at the same time. Of course, I held him and bawled for quite a long time. He apologized for scaring me and said he would have called me, but his phone was still in the car. I asked him what happened, and he said he hit some ice on the road and lost control, then slid off, hitting a tree. He said he thought his car was totaled. The rest was pretty much a blur, but eventually, once his parents got there, I left them in there with him to call my parents again to update them. This is when the state trooper approached me and wanted to talk. He said that while they can't totally dispute what my husband was saying, that his story about ice did not hold up. Yes, it had snowed lightly, but there was no real ice on the road, and that there was no evidence at the scene to show where my husband attempted to either brake or swerve. They also said that the only real reason his injury was as minor as it was because of our airbags, because they do not believe he was wearing a seatbelt. At first, I had no clues to what they were trying to say, but ultimately it sunk in that they were implying he did it intentionally.
Oof.
Yeah. So,
Okay, yeah.
self-harm probably.
Yeah.
No matter how bad this made me feel, and believe me, I felt like crap, my top priority at that time was him. So I went back into the room with him, and mind you, he's acting like everything's fine. Like our conversation from earlier didn't even happen. In fact, he was definitely overcompensating, trying to act happy and nonchalant. I stuck with him in the room for a while and then eventually went out and spoke to his mom. She, by the way, was fully aware of everything. I had confided in her after I got off work because she and I have a great relationship and I wanted her advice on how to handle this. She was a wealth of information and was very supportive that afternoon. I told her what the troopers had told me. She said we should ask the doctor if there was any way to tell if this might be intentional. We spoke with the doctor, then he spoke with the troopers. I went in to speak to my husband and see how he was doing, and finally the doctor came in and started questioning my husband. And he started to get very defensive. Finally, he asked why he wasn't wearing a seatbelt, And he started to give some excuse, but looked at me and saw I was crying and just mouthed to him to please be honest. After denying it for a good long while, he finally admitted that he was just reckless. Since there was no real proof that he tried to do it intentionally, the doctor told us that there was nothing he could do. He said he could not justify an emergency detention order and that while he tends to believe us, there is just not enough to work with. He was, however, admitted for 23-hour observation. He ended up with a fracture to his right forearm and bruising to his chest wall. I stayed with him, and his dad went over the next morning to the wrecker service to get things from the car. When we went home, he went from overcompensating to him turning on me, accusing me of trying to have him committed in the ER. He became very mean and isolated himself in our bedroom for the next day. Eventually, he came out to eat, and that is when he dropped his request for a divorce on me. He needs therapy so bad.
Yeah.
Like, whatever his relationship to Paul is just so, he's so irrational
Yeah.
about everything.
Yeah, and the fact that he already felt very like strongly like this just by thinking that they were just friends.
Yeah.
Like, and then of course, and then obviously this is happening now after realizing they were dating. Like, yeah, like what? I'm so curious of what Paul has done to make him like feel this way.
Like, even if he's done all this stuff, like, leave your job.
Yeah.
Leave your job.
I'm surprised he hasn't already.
Yeah. As you can imagine, I was a little distraught, but I told him that he needed to focus on getting better before we make any kind of decisions or even talk about it. The next day, he just let me have it. He totally believes that Paul and I have been conspiring against him for over a year. I honestly think he has like a mental health
Probably.
like schizophrenia. Obviously, I'm not a doctor or anything, but he believes that everyone's conspiring against him.
Yeah.
Like, that's not normal. That's not
No.
normal. He
Yeah,
has
and
no
that
proof of
would
that.
make sense if he has some sort of like existing mental
Yeah.
health issue, if this is how he's reacting
Yes,
to all of
'cause
this stuff.
this is like way overboard.
Yeah, like, yeah.
That the reason Paul has been so bad to him is because of me. He basically said a lot of vile, mean crap, and well, frankly, he was not the man who I knew and loved at that moment. I let him say whatever he wanted to say and didn't argue with him. After he settled down, I just asked him to explain logically how I manipulated him into this department so that I could get him to work for a person I didn't even know was there. Obviously, he couldn't, but that didn't make him any more rational or less angry. But obviously, you can listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. There is a little bit left to the story, but what does OP do?
I mean, it seems like she's doing all that she can.
Yeah.
Just like trying to get through to him and being like, well, this is the truth.
Yeah.
This is what I knew, but who knows if it's going to work. They definitely should wait until he kind of heals a bit or for them to continue this conversation. But
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a little bit more. The next day was a little better. He did apologize. I told him that, of course, I accepted his apology, but that I wasn't going to take being called those vile names by anyone, let alone my own husband. We both agreed to just let him heal and not to bring up divorce in the meantime. Later in the day, he agreed to get marriage counseling, and I told him that he needed individual therapy for himself. Great. Because it wasn't healthy to be this angry. However, I am committed to making this work. This is not him. This is him having a psychotic break, but he is not himself. I will stand by him throughout this even if he has to be angry at me for some time. I know I did not do anything wrong, but I also understand from his point of view, this all looks very suspicious. Commenter says, BS. You didn't have to hug Paul. You didn't have to lie to your husband about your relationship with Paul. You don't have to keep nagging husband to admit he tried to hurt himself. You don't have to keep trying to get him on a psych hold because you know it will help in the divorce. You could go to husband's HR now and most likely have Paul fired. OP, you are in no way a victim here?
wait, what?
That commenter is way off base. Wow, you're off base.
So that commenter is just basically saying like, OP, you can't complain.
Yeah.
This is you
This
could
is
have
your
done something to
fault.
fix it. What? OP
Wow.
is just like a bystander. Like,
OP literally ran into her ex.
yeah,
That's it.
that's all that happened.
That's it.
That's all that happened.
You cannot behave this way because your partner runs into your ex. Even if OP intentionally lied about something,
Yeah.
this is still
like
not okay behavior.
if she was cheating or something like
well,
that.
I mean, like,
Still,
not even like she, like, even if, like, you know,
you shouldn't expect people to intentionally injure themselves in
Yeah.
a car crash
yeah, like
because
not
of
okay.
something like this.
Not okay. And
No.
even more insane that he did it with absolutely no proof of anything.
Mhm.
Like, this man deeply needs like just intense therapy and intense psychiatric help because
Yeah.
this is not normal. And OP is taking on the burden of this
Mm-hmm.
in a very intense way that I worry for her.
Yeah. So commenter, you're wrong.
Wrong. And then OP just refutes that. But that is the end of that story.
Wow. That is
Wow.
a wild story.
I mean,
so not expecting that.
we never find out what Paula did.
Yeah.
Just apparently he's a horrible boss. But I really think if anyone who's watching this has a boss that is just so horrible that you come home and you literally feel like you're going crazy,
Yeah.
nothing is worth your mental health.
Yeah. And it's
Nothing.
possible that he already had like self-harming tendencies before this because this is
Probably.
a very intense way to self-harm. So I'm sure he
Absolutely.
worked his way up to it.
Yes.
So
Like,
yeah,
this
if
is
you're
not-
in any situation where that is the case, then get out of there.
Yeah. But that is the end of that story.
I have feelings for my coworkers, but I'm already married.
Well, you gotta distance yourself then.
I, 29 female, have been with my wonderful husband, 30 male, since we were both 20 or 21. We have an amazing relationship with each other, still make time for dates every week, and really just enjoy each other. He became my best friend pretty instantly from when we started hanging out in high school, and that still hasn't changed today. By the way, this comes from user wife with a crush, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, I have a girlfriend who I do call my best friend, and outside of my marriage, she is. But even that doesn't compare to the friendship I have with my husband. We've had our rough patches, but never anything very severe. There are some things I need to change about myself and things he needs to work on as well. Nothing relationship ending, just things that we need to do to be better people and better partners. And I doubt this will ever change, as it's impossible to just be perfect people. We don't have any children, nor are we looking for children in the future. We both work and bring home pretty decent money, although we both had small patches of unemployment in the past and were supported by the other. There's never been any hostility over finances, regardless of who's making more or who is supporting whom. Our marriage has survived depression, drinking problems, and a couple of physical medical conditions, all met with overwhelming support from each other. We're a great team. Then stop having a crush on somebody else.
Focus on your team, man.
Master your emotions. Our spicy sleep life is great and really active. A dry spell for us is going the work week without having a little spicy sleep because one or both of us are just too exhausted, but that's not very common. We get along well with each other's families, and my family has really bonded with my husband. As far as they're concerned, he's just another son or brother. He's everything I could have ever hoped for in a husband and more, and I really, truly love him. Now, I've felt myself attracted to others in the past, and I'm sure he's been through the same, but it's not anything we've ever discussed with each other. I know that it's normal, and it's never been anything too intense before. If I find myself starting to get feelings for someone who I see a lot, it doesn't take much to shake off. This is the first time I've ever dealt with feelings so intense, and I don't really know what to do next. My coworker is very attractive, super friendly, and I just enjoy being around him. We started working at this company around the same time, roughly 8 months ago. We were in training together for a couple of weeks, which was absolute torture. My feelings came on strong and came on quick. I'm sure I've turned red when he flashes me a smile. It would be embarrassing enough if I were single simply because we work together, but I'm married and I feel like that probably looks really poorly on me. We don't work together anymore, but our departments are close, and if he walks through my section, he'll put his hand on my shoulder and give it a squeeze to get my attention when he's walking by, then flash me that smile. I don't have really any empathy for you saying that you met a guy 8 months ago and now he's able to sort of overshadow your entire relationship with your husband of like that you've had for 10 years or more.
Yeah.
Not really feeling a lot of empathy for you right now. Sorry.
I don't get how that happens.
Yeah, you say, "Oh, can you not touch my shoulder like that?"
Yeah, right?
You say, "I'm not going to pay attention to this guy."
I don't know. I mean, I guess it makes sense. Like, if she says that she has found, like, she's been attracted to people, like, I feel like that makes sense because, I mean, sometimes, you know, people are hot and you can't really deny
Right.
that. But yeah, if you're married and you have been for, 10 years.
Yeah, it's about how you handle it.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you can have the feeling, it's
Right.
like, what? You can be like, oh, well, wow, I did feel like, oh, maybe I'm attracted.
Yeah,
But
it's
it's
like,
like,
uh-oh.
now I'm going to put that in a box and
Right.
put the box
Right.
at the bottom of the
We're
ocean.
going to do some damage control, but it doesn't seem like she's been doing much of that.
Yeah, you're not taking any steps to put this in a box.
Yeah.
I'll make conversation if we pass each other or are at work event together, but I do the same with pretty much everyone I've worked with or currently work with. We don't have each other on social media and haven't exchanged numbers and don't see each other outside of work. I was invited out to a bar nearby by him
and a few others a couple times, but turned them down. I work in a male-dominated field and didn't feel right being the only woman out at the bar with a bunch of guys, especially one who I do feel this way about. I avoid his floor at work when possible, and if he's on lunch at the same time, I'll say hi as I pass, but just grab my stuff and eat on the patio or on another floor. Okay, I try to just avoid thinking about him or remind myself of how dumb I'm being, but I can't shake this feeling. I feel like that's like you're feeding into it
Yeah.
by being like, no, I can't.
Yeah.
But it's still there. Oh my God. Like, and it's like,
it's forbidden. Yeah.
just like stop thinking about it, period. Like,
Right,
you're
right.
thinking too much about it. Like,
Yeah.
where it's like, okay, I'm going to go in and I'm only going to say hi. I'm going to make sure I don't have more than 2
Yeah.
seconds of eye contact.
Exactly.
And then blah, blah, blah. And sure,
Yeah.
we're not in control always of how we feel.
Sure.
But it's like, that's something we need to
Right.
work on. We can be in control of our emotions and our
Yeah.
feelings.
Yeah. And there are maybe other ways we can go about this right now.
I'm not afraid I'm going to be an idiot and let passion take over or any of that nonsense. And I think all those excuses for one-time mistakes are garbage. I'm in control of my actions and could never be so cruel to my husband. I don't compare my husband to my coworker or vice versa, and that's not what I'm trying to do here either. I've just been able to shake it off anytime I've had feelings come on for someone else, and it doesn't matter what I do with this guy. If I think about him, it's hard to get him off my mind, regardless of what's going on around me. I've gone weeks without running into him and he won't cross my mind, but then I catch a glimpse of him when I'm strolling into work and my heart will start racing faster. I have a desire to be around him and be close to him, and I just need it to go away. I feel like I'm in high school all over again, except instead of daydreaming in class, I'm trying to get this dude off my mind and get some dang work done. I know Reddit is big on full disclosure, but this is not something I will be discussing with my husband. These feelings aren't coming out of neglect or want in my relationship with him. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything by being with him, and there's nothing that he can do that would fix this for me. If he were feeling the same way about someone, I can honestly say I wouldn't want to hear about it. If he felt neglected and like my actions were causing him to desire affection elsewhere, then that would be a different story. I know that this is something that would affect him really bad, and I don't want him to feel uncomfortable for the 40 to 50 hours a week that I'm in the same building with this guy when there's nothing he could do or say that would change what's going on with me. You don't know that. And there's no chance of me crossing a line. I just don't see the purpose in creating an issue in my marriage when there isn't one.
It sounds like she's saying, there's no like deeper root of the cause or something like that. And maybe there's not. But I mean, I feel like you could still talk about it. And
Yeah.
be like, hey, by the way, I really don't like that I'm feeling this, but I'm just feeling it and I just want to be honest with you. And I really I'm sorry, but nothing has happened. Nothing's
Yeah.
going to happen, but I just feel like I have to get it off my chest.
You got to workshop on how to, explain this, because it's
Yeah.
like, you can feel like I don't want to act upon this, but it's like I
Right.
can't stop feeling this way. It's driving me crazy.
Right.
Yeah, remember how we met and fell in love? I'm feeling like that about my coworker. Yeah, that would actually be terrible.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good move to just deny that there's an issue here. Like,
Yeah.
clearly you're posting on Reddit about it. Like, it's affecting you enough
yeah.
to where you're like, I need help. Like,
Yeah.
that's a problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, so is there any advice on what to do to shake these feelings? We have an update. Rely on your husband. Like you said, whenever you've been through hard times, you guys rely on each other. This is a hard time you're having.
I think it's the kind of thing too where it's like, don't think about a pink elephant. Now you are thinking about it. You know what I mean? So it's
true.
like, I don't know, carry a picture of your husband around or something like that and try to think about him more, try to think about the work, or look at the negatives of this guy. Look at, hey, this is why it wouldn't work, because this and this and this. I don't know him. It's been 8 months. I know my husband though. I love him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but we have an update. Hopefully there's some communication going on here. Update. Before the update, I would like to clear something up. I think I may have worded poorly. My job is not male-dominated in the sense that there's 300 employees and like 4 women. It's probably closer to 25 to 30% female employees and the rest are male. We all give each other a hard time and play around, and it's not just all the guys here petting on the women. I've only had female coworkers mess with my hair as they're running by, similar to what I do with my sisters. The extent of touch that I've gotten or given to any of the guys here has been a pat on the back for a good job in a rough clothes, handshakes, pat on the shoulder in passing to get their attention while going to make copies, and I've hugged one male coworker who was retiring and whose wife was there for the retirement party. This isn't a stuffy office setting, but this isn't HR's nightmare either. That being said, I did need to find a way to put distance between coworker and myself, given the reaction he got out of me, even with something as simple as eye contact. So, now on to the update. I'm friends with my husband's boss's wife and gave her a call to help get him time off. His employer is very lenient on time off, and I just set it up so that they were expecting him to call out. We had a romantic, extended weekend away, and it gave me a chance to really appreciate him. Thank you to the Redditors who advised putting more focus on us. I don't think I would have planned the surprise otherwise. Now, back to work. A lot has happened in the last month, and I'm planning on going no contact with coworker the very second that I can. Shortly after I returned, I found out that he had put in for a transfer into my department and had also been added onto my team. No problem. Really? I'm an adult. I can behave like an adult, and the time away to clear my head and reevaluate where I was putting my energy had a bigger effect than I had anticipated. Well, things got a little weird.
Uh-oh.
He started grabbing me coffee when he'd pick up his because I took on a new project and was showing up earlier and staying later than normal. But he didn't do this for anyone else whose workload had increased. About 4 of us had taken on new clients. Our lunches lined up a little more frequently. I got friend and follow requests on social media, declined, and stuff like that. I felt like he would stand a little closer to me than what was comfortable, but at this point still felt like I was reading too much into it. It was confusing and difficult given that this feeling isn't wanted, but I do just feel drawn to him, like there's a connection I desperately want to break. I always park by the smoking section because I have a filthy habit and like to be close. And he caught me tonight while I was walking out to my car. He stopped me and asked to bum a smoke, and we talked for a couple minutes. He then said he had something kind of uncomfortable to talk to me about. He told me he had felt really attracted to me since we first met, and that working more closely with me has shown him that he has some real feelings for me. He says he knows that I'm married and will respect any boundaries I set up, but that he hasn't felt this strongly about someone before, and he couldn't live with the what-ifs. So, really quickly, him saying he knows that you're married and then saying, I'll respect any boundaries you put up is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, it's like, well, I thought this ring was a boundary. I thought,
Yeah,
like-
my marriage is a boundary, you freaking idiot.
yeah.
But also, OP, if you don't immediately end this with, whoa,
Yeah.
yeah, I am married. You should have never said this to me.
Right.
Oh my God, I have to talk to HR tomorrow. If you
Yeah.
do anything but that, I have no sympathy for you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would report him to HR because, like, she's literally feeling the same way towards
No,
him.
it's not about a report. It's just like we have to reshuffle our team organization because we
That
can't
makes
work
sense, that makes
together.
sense. Yeah, we can't.
We can't work
can't.
together.
Yeah.
Don't not get him in trouble, just like we can't work together.
Right. I'm really scared that she's going to be like, yeah, I felt the same way. And then they're just going to keep working together and be like, well, it's just so awkward, but there's nothing we can do about it.
So we're going to find out right now. Apparently, he went so far as to end things with his girlfriend.
Whoa.
And is now staying with his parents for a couple of weeks while he gets a new place lined up. He said he could feel something between us and didn't think it was only him. I told him that I am very happily married and that he shouldn't mistake my friendliness with flirtation and that he needs to learn more appropriate boundaries with coworkers. I asked him to give me distance and that if it wasn't work-related, there was no reason to discuss it because we're coworkers, not friends, and left.
Okay.
He looked a little defeated and apologized for overstepping. Okay,
Okay. I'm not mad at that response.
I'm satisfied with that.
Yeah.
My husband is out of town on a work trip, so I had to come home to an empty house feeling the weirdest mix of emotions I've had since this whole mess started. Like a commenter mentioned in my last post, this is most definitely something wonky going on with our pheromones, causing the weird flutter of emotions. The way he came across letting me know he was okay if I cheated on my husband with him painted him in a whole new light. Good.
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 Oh,
Yes.
my goodness.
I'm glad you immediately saw that as a giant red flag.
Yeah.
With like neon lights like flashing on it.
Right. Even if you did have feelings, it's not someone you want to pursue anything with.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. No longer have feelings for you because you're telling me to cheat on my husband.
Yeah. Oh, shoot.
So you were
Even though
just
that's
infatuated
what-
with this guy.
You're right.
He doesn't seem like a charming guy anymore. Just a tool who probably hasn't been told no enough times in his life. I have trouble falling asleep by myself, and this whole situation has been a mess, so sorry for any weird formatting. I'm exhausted and figured I may as well update while everything is fresh. I'm confused. I still think he's really attractive, but I'm not equally repulsed by him as a person overall. By the way, there's something I would never repulse you from doing, and it's listening to the full episodes of stories just like this on your favorite podcast platform. Just search OK Storytime wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can get the full archive beamed directly into your brain.
Oh, yeah.
And we have a little bit of the story left, and I would have loved to beam my thoughts directly into OP's brain.
Yeah.
But man, oh man.
Ugh. God, this poor girl. I don't know, because I've heard from people too say that like you get a lot of comfort and like safety from a marriage, and then it's like still kind of with something new, even though it's like not worth it at all. It's still that some kind of like exciting new thing.
Yeah.
And so it's just a different feeling. So I can understand like maybe getting to that point, but yeah, I think she needs to focus on those negative features and really not like this guy anymore.
Yeah.
She's got to figure it out. Maybe that's something that she can work on with her husband and being like, hey, let's make things more exciting or something.
Yeah. Okay. There's a final edit here. Special thanks to everyone who didn't read the first post and have been calling me a tease and a sleut. Nice to get a good laugh in. To those who missed my comments addressing it, my husband will be given full details of our encounters when he returns home. I don't want him getting worked up while he's so far away. I won't be telling him about my feelings towards coworker because they are irrelevant to the situation now that it is progressing. So, mini update. I didn't go into work today, but I did get an email from coworker. It started with what seems like a sincere apology to then offering to buy me dinner this weekend to make it up to me. I responded with, your advances made me very uncomfortable, and I will say again that I am not interested in seeing you outside of work. His second email was another apology while making sure I knew the offer for dinner as friends to make it up for me would still be on the table. I didn't respond to his second email, and he hasn't reached out again today. I'm in a bit of a weird place. I'm growing a bigger dislike towards coworker while still having these weird primal feelings. Planning a nice dinner in and some Netflix and chill when my husband gets home. Definitely putting in for a department change when one becomes available. I spent a little time browsing job postings, but I do love where I work, so I don't think that's the best solution. And that's the end of that story. My boyfriend lied about drinking, and his boss condoned it.
His boss was chill with that? Is he drinking at work?
His boss is a chiller. By the way, there's a trigger here for mentions of past harmful relationships. I, 26 female, have been with my boyfriend Neil, 25 male, for a little over 3 years now. For some context, at the beginning, before we dated, I made it clear to him that I had a strict no drinking and no smoking policy for my partner. It was a deal breaker for me. I was aware that Neil enjoyed both smoking and drinking, but I didn't want to force him into a relationship with these rules reinforced on him, as it wouldn't be fair. I wanted him to know what he'd be signing up for if we dated. Neil was very much in love with me then and promised to quit both smoking and drinking so we could be together, which made me very happy. And by the way, this comes from user NoRich9749, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, in the first year, Neil struggled to keep his promises, and he would often slip back into his old habits of smoking and drinking. He told me I should be patient with him because it's not easy for people to quit their vices so quickly. Every time he felt like slipping into old habits, he would often lie to me about it, stating he needed time alone, which I respected, only to find out he'd been drinking again behind my back. He's like, babe, you don't understand. I need time alone to drink.
Yeah, so I was a bit confused. The rule is just at all. It's not just like, don't do it with me. It's like, you can never do it. You need to find someone else that's also on that page of like, this is also a hard stop for me. Like, I also don't want that. You can't go into something with someone who's like into using that as a vice. Like,
okay, Billy time. Date the person they are, not the person you want them to be.
Yeah, exactly.
It was very rough to say the least, but I gave him plenty of chances because I loved him and I understand struggling with vices must be difficult, so it would take time to adjust. I would say this cycle repeated around 5 to 6 times yearly, and every time it happened, it broke a piece of me. On our 3rd year, Neil told me he was very unhappy with how controlling I was over the things he enjoyed, and said it was because of me that he felt he could never be happy or enjoy anything of his own. It was extremely difficult for me to hear, but I wanted to keep the relationship because I loved him so much and put in so much work into it. So I ended up compromising. I told him I would allow him to drink at workplace events, but only if he would agree to the following: letting me know a day in advance so I can mentally prepare myself, drinking in moderation, less than 4 drinks, and giving me updates every 2 or 3 hours on how things were going to give myself some peace of mind.
I want to know what happened that you're so stressed about this, Bubba.
There has to be something. This has to come from some kind of place of distress or trauma or something, right?
Something happened.
Yeah. I was uncomfortable with it, but I prioritized him being happy and was willing to modify my boundaries for his sake as long as he could hold up his end of the agreement. So Neil agreed to this compromise, but lamented that I was still too controlling and there was no point in drinking without being completely wasted. And also called me a parole officer. You guys should just break up, dude.
Yeah.
I told Neil he could take this compromise or just end things, and he took the compromise. Fast forward to the present. Yesterday, Neil told me that he had a workplace event to celebrate a colleague's birthday, and he would be abstaining from drinking to give me peace of mind. I was grateful and appreciative of him making an effort to be considerate of my feelings, and when the event rolled around today, I thought nothing of it, until Neil suddenly texted me out of the blue a few hours ago, saying he was going to have a couple of drinks. Admittedly, it made me very upset because I felt blindsided and hurt by this. I felt that he didn't hold up his end of his compromise by informing me a day in advance he was going to drink. He apologized for it when I communicated that I felt blindsided and promised he won't drink any more than he already did. I said I was grateful that he was trying to amend his mistake after realizing he messed up by abstaining the rest of the night, but I was still hurt by his dishonesty. And then he went silent for a few hours, which made me worried. And after a long period of silence, Neil's colleague, let's call him Mike, texted me through his phone saying he was blacked out and was going to stay at his boss's place overnight, and he's safe and will be back in the morning. This absolutely broke me because even in all the times Neil had drank during his relapses, he'd always make it home safely and I could look after him. Not only did Neil lie to me multiple times and pretend to amend his mistake to me, he also failed to do anything in the compromise we set out for each other. And this time he was so wasted he couldn't even come home. This devastated me, and Neil's colleague gave me the phone number of their boss, this is relevant, to message in case I had any worries. I was spiraling at this point and texted Neil's number, to which his boss presumably saw Neil's phone notification, took a picture of Neil being completely crap-faced, and told me that he's safe, and I had no business being so crazy spam texting and calling him. I should just be grateful he's safe and asleep in his house. After all, I told his boss that Neil and I had a prior compromise, and in terms of drinking, this was devastating to me. I wanted to take him back home myself personally and asked for his address. I was then ghosted for an entire hour, which led me to call the boss's phone number that the colleague gave, but it didn't go through. His boss eventually replied to me through Neil's phone and told me that I was overreacting. Neil did nothing wrong and was a controlling, crazy witch.
I mean, Neil did get blackout at a work party, which you probably shouldn't do.
Probably
But,
not.
yeah,
but
she's a little
if you
crazy.
get blacked out at the work party and then you're at the boss's house and he texts your girlfriend, leave him alone.
Yeah, I think it's
you
probably
had
chill
the
to
green
get
light to
blacked
go a
out.
little crazy with the crew.
But also, he should let her pick him up.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is I think the reason he's not going home is because I think given your dynamic, it would be more upsetting to you if he was home than if he was staying somewhere else. I was very upset because at that moment I felt like, what did a stranger know about my relationship boundaries to tell me that I'm overreacting? But again, I did call the number I was provided. I'm not proud of it, but I used Neil's computer to snoop around his work chats and found out there was a group chat where Neil's boss broke his phone, and Mike thought it would be funny to give me an unusable number for contacting purposes, knowing that I'd have a bad reaction to the situation. I feel very stupid and like I'm a laughingstock in his workplace, too. By the way, you'll never be a laughingstock if you go listen to full episodes with stories just like this one on Spotify and iHeartRadio and Apple Podcasts and wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search OK Storytime and you can listen to 69 consecutive days of stories. Like 24 hours times 69. I've been waiting a long time to say that. There's a little bit more story left.
Yeah, I mean, girl, you gotta end this, or he's got like someone that you guys can't keep doing this. At the same time, his coworker shouldn't be like messing with you this hard. That's kind of messed up.
Right.
But they're bad people at this point. End it. Get out of there. You don't need this. This is your time to realize that you don't need this and leave.
Right. Now that I've been hyperventilating and crying for the past few hours, I'm starting to think maybe I'm the one at fault here. There's a reason why Neil's colleague and boss were so dismissive to me. I did overreact and started texting everyone I could get in contact with, the boss and Mike. Neil's boss already texted me that he was safe and resting in his house, so I should have let it go and not went crazy, right?
Right.
I felt so hurt when Neil lied to me again and went against all my boundaries, though. Was I not understanding enough? Am I too controlling for having boundaries? I don't think that's the right way to put that.
It's not too controlling to have those because he did agree to them and it was forwardly stated. And he was like, yeah, sure, like, I'm cool with giving that stuff up. Like, that'll be chill.
Yeah.
But, like, you are now taking it too far because he clearly doesn't care.
I think there's a time limit to that
Right.
notion, and
Right.
3 years is way
It's
past
too much.
it.
Y'all just need to end this.
3 years together, and he
Yeah.
still didn't stop doing it.
Yeah.
Not really. You know, what is it? Fool me once. Shame on you. Fool me twice.
Fool me
Shame
6
on
to 7
me.
times every year for 3 years.
Yeah. Not really anyone yet.
Yeah.
Yet. Everyone else sees me as the problem and not Neil. I feel like I'm losing my sense of self. My chest hurts from crying so much. I'm still having a hard time lying in Neil's bed right now, and I'm dreading having to confront him about it when he wakes up later on. And we have some comments. Comment number 1. Have you attended therapy to help process your trauma? I ask this because I'm wondering if a therapist helped you with these boundaries. Sometimes such restrictive boundaries may limit your ability to have a partner that enjoys these things. For example, I have a family member who is sober and navigated a lot to get there. Yet they understand that not everyone has to be sober for them to stay sober and enjoy their sobriety. So they don't make it a requirement that everyone around them stays sober. I commend you for being upfront with your expectations, and I'm sorry he committed and then didn't follow through. The lying is the genuine deal breaker for me to say that you're not overreacting. 2 things can be true. He and his friends may think you're controlling, and you can keep your boundaries and end things because he didn't respect them. OP replies, I had been to therapy for a year or so when I was still in a harmful relationship, but ended after a year and never went back to it because of the finances. Therapy and mental wellness isn't always subsidized in my country, and I was struggling financially to afford it consistently and still am. The boundaries were set by myself, not with any therapist's help, to answer your question. I also made new boundaries in an attempt to compromise with him. I find myself able to manage my trauma despite feeling discomfort from his drinking, so long as he commits to my new boundaries. But I'm shown that he was unable to and even lied to me about it. The lying really hurt me a lot, I think even more so than the fact he was drinking. I think a part of me always knew we are highly incompatible, but it's never been more blatant until now. Not just from the way we communicate, but also just general lifestyle choices and personalities. The back and forth compromising and never being satisfied with it always leads to one of us feeling resentful in the relationship. When I give him the go-ahead to go for social events and drink moderately with my boundaries, he relapses back into his vices, disregards my boundaries, and lies to me, leading me to feel deeply hurt and resentful. When he skips the occasional celebration in order to give me peace of mind, he feels angry and resentful, and how restricted he feels, and how much fun he's missing out on. I also realized I've been shielding him from his repeated pattern of lying and disrespecting my boundaries constantly. My lack of self-respect is so jarring to me looking back at it. I think I was just so deeply in love that I was desperate to make things work, no matter how many times he lied, hurt me, or promised to quit drinking and be better. He's done this over 20 times in the past 3 years of the relationship, and I can't believe I've ignored such a huge red flag. It isn't healthy, and I'm heavily considering on letting go of the relationship if there's nothing more I can do to salvage this. I'm currently just staying up, waiting for him to wake up from his boss's house, sober up, and hopefully have an open conversation about my boundaries. I'm giving him an ultimatum, which we hate here. He can choose to love me or his drinking lifestyle. I can no longer make excuses for him and tank his lies and pain every time he relapses. If he chooses the relationship, then if he does repeat it again, I need to learn to respect myself enough to walk away for good. Just walk away.
Yeah.
Just walk away already. It's going to happen again. You know it's going to happen again. Just walk away now. It's happened for 3 years.
Yeah.
It's
He's
not
going to lie and say he'll stop, and then it's going to happen.
It sucks having to give ultimatums because I always feel like it's unfair to the other party, which is true. You already know this, so don't do it. It's been plenty unfair for me to have given so many chances and have my trust betrayed time and time again, too. That's not what that is. That's fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 100 times. You have to start learning. You gotta base your decisions off of the reality laid out in front of you.
Yeah, you know this is gonna keep happening. Leave.
You
leave while he's blackout at the boss's house.
Yeah, do that. And
if you can.
You literally hit every logical point of like why this won't work, and you're like, but I'll stay one more time.
Yeah.
Why? I had an affair with a married man, and I can't break it off.
Yes, you can.
Thanks, Obama.
Si se puede.
My ex's boss, let's call him Ryan, now age 46, and I, female 39, have known each other for well over a decade.
From the very day we met, we clicked as friends and colleagues like nothing I've ever known. We just agreed on many levels on everything. We had very high mutual respect for each other's capabilities and opinions. Any meeting we had would descend into an extra hour of talking excitedly about everything and anything. By the way, this comes from user Hampshire Tea Party on the Charlotte Dobre YouTube subreddit. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit and submit it there. So, we were clearly attracted to each other, but we were also incredibly professional. He was married and I had a boyfriend, so we never acted on anything. The day he pulled me aside to excitedly tell me he was going to be a dad, I swore to myself I'd never try to ruin that for him. We continued to work really closely through business necessity for the following years with a lovely work friendship. We became a rather formidable team for change within the company. Almost every day, if we were both in the office, he would stop by my desk on his way to his on the opposite side of the building. We'd always smile, say hi, and chat. But other than that, nothing untoward ever happened. Girl, this is your work husband, which is crazy because this is also where your husband works. So, your husband, and your work husband work in the same place.
OP. I'm shaking my head at you.
He was my biggest career supporter and gave me so much respect and responsibility. He also supported me during my dad's long and emotional battle with cancer. We'd even exchanged parenting tips. My daughter is just over a year younger than his. During the vid, I heard he and his wife had separated. I never asked about it, as I always tried to remain professional. I just knew he seemed sadder and more stressed than usual. Some others mentioned why, but it was never directly discussed between the two of us. 2 years ago, I left the company and moved to another job. We didn't speak for 6 months, and I realized I really missed being able to run ideas by him and get his view on things. We had been a supportive team, and I missed that terribly. Around the same time, a friend asked if she could add both of us to a group chat. She had gone on a walk with him and was worried because he seemed really down. The group chat included a lot of light conversations, but it became obvious he was deeply depressed. We occasionally continued talking outside of the group chat, mostly about music, which we both love, crazy, and other shared hobbies. We were always talking about gigs we wanted to attend, blah, 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 blah. Now, here's where I made a mistake. Your very first one. Everyone, including our mutual friend, believed he was sad over his separation. He never talked about his personal life, so no one really knew. One day, while we were chatting, he mentioned that he hadn't, quote, done the deed in over 18 months.
He has to hire a spicy sleepworker
Yes.
or break up his marriage.
We thought he was upset about maybe all of his complex emotions and feelings about the separation from his wife, but it turns out he just needs pee-pee touch.
It's just, no, boy, he needs to do the spicy stuff. And wow, he's telling his coworker that. You know what that means.
Yeah, coworker. So I went into pep talk mode. I was just starting to escape a harmful and controlling marriage and started joking about dating apps and how he'd do well on them. I added jokingly that I'd always had a crush on him, which is not a joke since that's real, but I meant for it to be lighthearted.
I added jokingly that I jokingly liked him jokingly, and it wasn't a joke.
There was silence, and then everything changed forever. To say a wall fell down would be an understatement. He told me he'd loved me from the moment we met, but assumed I didn't feel the same since I was always so professional and, in his words, way out of his league. We'd spent
and also
it.
Married. You're both married.
Yeah, not to mention you both were in
committed
relationships, having
relationships.
children with other people.
In
Although OP
committed
did allude
relationship.
that their relationship was pretty bad. However,
Sucks. That's terrible.
we don't
It is
know about
terrible.
his.
We don't. Yeah, he was in a relationship.
Okay. We had spent a decade denying feelings, and he suddenly flooded my phone with declarations of affection and love. I let my own wall down. At that point, I thought we were both single and finally being honest with each other.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sure you did a lot of research.
At that point, I thought we were both single and finally being honest with each other. AKA, I didn't even ask.
Didn't ask.
I just
one.
fully assumed
Didn't
and
ask
asked
one.
no question.
And also, is OP still in a relationship?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
At this point, OP is out of theirs.
Yes.
Which is why I think they're assuming they're both
Yeah.
single.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks later, he invited me over to watch a film and de-stress. My ex had been particularly difficult. We had been talking nonstop for 2 weeks, and he'd been so emotionally open. Before I left, he called and admitted his home situation was complicated. When he and his wife separated, their daughter, his world was devastated. So they decided to stay together in a spiceless, loveless marriage for her sake. Sounds like that's not going to backfire at all. His wife worked the night shift, was barely around when he went to sleep, and he believed she was having an affair. I don't know how to process it, given everything he'd said over the past 2 weeks. I still went over with the intention of just watching the film and letting him talk.
Yeah, because everyone comes over and watches the movie. When you have a movie day, you watch the movie.
Yeah. When I arrived, we hugged, and it lingered too long. I looked up unsure what to do, and he kissed me.
Oh, wow. You didn't even get to the movie.
It was like the world fell away. 10 years of emotion, respect, and care all came rushing out. I left later that evening, no spicy sleep, and agreed to go on a walk with him that week. A walk to remember. We talked. He was clear that he wouldn't leave his wife because of their daughter.
Wow.
But he wanted to keep... What?
Shock.
What?
He's not going to leave his wife for you?
But didn't he already leave her?
No, he didn't.
It's like, yeah, see...
That's the thing.
So, but if you'd already left your wife, couldn't you just leave with me since you're not together? Oh.
Shock. Lying man lies. News. This just in.
But he wanted to keep seeing me in secret.
Oh my goodness.
I told him I didn't want to be his mistress, and then we kissed again and confused the lines. The next 6 months were messy. I was going through ADHD medication titration and had been put on meds that made my emotions and impulses extreme. I cycled through loving him, cutting him off, trying to burn bridges, then missing him like mad. That just sounds like you were in an affair, girl.
Sounds like you were in an affair.
Yeah, just that exactly what you just read is you just like someone.
You were in an affair.
But it's an affair.
That's just an affair.
Yeah. He quietly accepted all of it. He didn't want it to end. Meanwhile, I was still living with my controlling ex, Simon, because he was saving up to buy me out of our home. To escape the stress, Ryan and I went to gigs and festivals together, took weekend breaks, and had weekly pub catch-ups. He was my safe place. But he also continued to go on family holidays, separate beds.
So he says.
And attend social events with his wife and daughter. Gradually, he became more relaxed about being affectionate in public with me. We didn't even become physically intimate until many months after the first kiss. A lot of our time was just spent enjoying each other's company and conversation. Eventually, I got my medication under control, so we were deeply in love. But it still hurt being the mistress, seeing him only during office hours. I resented that he could do this to me and to his family. We started going through monthly breakups. See how you said, how could he do that? And then you said, we started. So that's
You're doing this. He's doing this to his family. You're doing this. You're part of this.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's breaking his marriage vow. You're absolutely culpable for everything that's going on in this relationship.
That's true, sister.
Sorry.
We started going through monthly breakups, each one a plea from me to let this go. But he always talked me back into being friends. And once we met up again, all the love and emotion came flooding back. He called me his soulmate. He cried when we had to part after spending time together. We talked every single day, but still, nothing changed. He dangled promises, like, if you become more stable, I'll consider leaving my wife. But I was already stable. It wasn't about me anymore. Eventually, I convinced him to start therapy. I was already in it.
It's not going very well for you.
He's still going. Now it's been 18 months. Is he even going, though?
I don't think
Anyway,
so.
I've gone no contact for 3 days, my longest ever.
What? That's not even
This
no
whole
contact.
story-
That's a weekend.
This story is OP being like, I'm in an affair that I'm actively participating in.
Dude, that's
How
like,
do I stop?
that's like when I said I was vegetarian when I was 8 for 2 hours in a car ride, and then my mom gave me chicken noodle soup. That's not no contact. That's a weekend.
I've gone no contact for 3 days, my longest ever. We've broken up over 20 times. That's 20.
This is OP. Family, run over. Family, run over.
We're over.
Can you turn
It's
that
over.
on track?
She's at the trolley problem factory,
Yeah.
obliterating families of 5.
Ah.
And the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what they say. The 21st time's the
charm.
You know,
I
the
guess.
chime. Yeah,
My
yeah,
goodness.
dude. That's ridiculous.
Wow. So OP continues. Each time I beg him to let me go because he won't change his situation and I can't keep living like this.
But you do.
It's not fair to me, his wife, or his daughter.
Who you care so much about.
I tell him it hurts too much, but every time he begs me to stay friends. We always have upcoming plans we both look forward to. And then he tells me he's heartbroken at the thought of losing me. And I go, okay. And we get back together. He says he never knew what love was until he met me. That he wishes he wasn't so afraid of change. And then the cycle starts again. I cry. I hate it. I hate it.
I hate it.
But I can't stop
Yes, you can.
because he's the most important person in my life. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for not being able to end this cycle?
Say it with me, everyone.
Yes!
Wow, it's like a little
Yeah.
kids show. It's like,
Yeah!
Woo!
Yeah! We did it!
Hey, kids. Who's the a-hole? OB.
Both of them.
It's
But
I mean, to be clear, it is
To be clear, it's both of them.
absolutely the guy that she's having an affair with too. But
Yeah.
like the question is she the a-hole? Yes.
You're both
Yes.
a-holes in this
Both the
situation.
a-hole. And
Girl?
yeah, is he way more of an a-hole for cheating on his wife and, ruining his relationship with his daughter and family? Yeah, absolutely. You are the a-hole because you're culpable in this.
It's just, you can't have the excuse of like, well, I tell him it needs to end and this
Yeah.
can't happen. But then he uses his vocabulary.
Well, he uses his putty words and I have to stay. Like, no, you don't.
And it
Own up
worked
to it. Own up
20
to it.
times in a row that worked on me.
Yeah, like, come on.
20?
Come on.
If you have any real advice for how to break this cycle but somehow keep the friendship, I'm listening. Are you stupid? You can't. You can't do that. You have to drop the whole thing.
Oh, I didn't actually hear that. She wants to keep the friendship?
Yes, you can't do that, dummy. You can't.
No.
And by the way, you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. All you got to do is take your pretty little thumbs and type OK Storytime, and there you will find the archive. It's extensive. Start listening. We have just a little bit of story left here. It looks to be ending with an edit. Let's finish this story. Walk away when you need to walk away, people. Edit. I never meant to come across as blameless. More that I need to hear the judgment to be able to focus on what you are all saying. So when he tries again, I say no and don't cave. This all started when I was incredibly vulnerable and trying to break out of an awful marriage situation and needed a savior. And when offered, I took it, which I know is wrong. But it was that, or I was liable to top myself. It had all become so bleak, and I was honestly in a very bad way. And now I'm stable enough. I know I need to end this cycle as history has repeated itself again.
I do just like last thing. I understand OP was in a very rough spot. Totally fair. You said it yourself here. You're not anymore. There's no excuses. There's no excuses now. You've
Literally
run out of
not.
excuses. You said, oh, I was in a really bad place. Oh, my medication was wrong. Now I'm medicated. Now I'm in a good space. You have no excuses left. Sorry. But folks, that's the end of that story.
That is the end of that story. And it's the end of this episode.
So if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you and see